Welcome to the interview entitled The Power Within with Rachel Fiori.
Thank you, Marcia.
She just recently launched a book called Mason's Way, the 20 Universal Ways of Oneness. And I want to give you an idea about her background because it is fascinating. She has a bachelor's in corporate communications, right? And then she got her master's in occupational therapy, which specialized in emotional, behavior, and mental health. And then she became the founder and the CEO of Masters of Self University. So she's enlightening all these teachers around the world about this knowledge. And I'm so blown away. In the last 6 months, Rachel, my life has completely changed I have to thank you, and that's why I'm sitting here. And I think the most profound question to start with is, how do people find happiness? Because most parents don't teach us.
Absolutely. And we've heard this saying, and we'll go deeper into it, but I first have to start with, you go within. You connect to the power that you have within, that every single human being has access to. We're just not taught this. We keep seeking happiness outside of us, which creates nothing but misery. So we have to learn what it means to go inside of ourselves, connect to our divinity. And our divinity has nothing to do with a religion, and it's okay if you are religious. But it's connecting to the power of the universe that you have inside of you, harnessing that power and using that to guide your life, to heal yourself, and to awaken to the most magnificent version of you that you have access to.
The most important thing that you've done since I've been working with the 6 months has taught me how I can find self-empowerment. And I thought I was empowered. So why is it that this technique is different in finding happiness than anybody else that I've seemingly found on planet Earth?
I think one of the reasons for that is we've kind of shifted into an age where it's, positive vibes only. And I'm going to call bullshit on all of that. I always call bullshit on that. It is absolutely ridiculous. We have to understand that although we are a divine soul having a human experience, we are still human. We're both. We are divinity incarnated. So we have to learn how to integrate our soul self, our divine self, with our human experience, our human self. And a lot of times what ends up happening is people go to this positive vibes only think positive things, say your positive affirmations, everything is positive, positive, positive. And of course, we want to embrace all the joy and the bliss and the positivity that we have access to. Except you don't really have access to that all of the time when we completely deny our shadow selves. We have negativity, we have negative emotions, we have unhealed traumas. And if we don't pay attention to those, they will in a very sneaky way, wreak havoc on our lives. They won't allow us to reach a level of joy that we're all seeking outside of ourselves. We have to go inside, see what is in there, and embrace it with love so that it can be alchemized. It is an energetic process that I teach, as you know now. And if we are ignoring those aspects of us, then we're ignoring part of who we are. We will never reach high levels of consciousness or enlightenment ever if we ignore our shadow aspects.
Let's talk about the shadow self, because we're going to get into the two topics that I know everybody really cares about, and that's relationships and money. And then we'll go through the ways. But the shadow self, I thought was my dark side, even though I don't really operate with the dark side. I'm not saying that I'm a perfect angel. I'm just saying that I'm very conscious about not being dark to people. That is completely different. I discovered the shadow self with you.
Yes.
Please explain.
Yeah, so when we're born and we start to have our human experience, there are things that cause us emotional pain. We go into fear, even as babies. The first time, mom or dad leaves you alone and the little baby doesn't understand why you're leaving, that's an abandonment issue. The baby, the toddler isn't old enough, doesn't have the cognitive ability to comprehend, oh, you're just, I know time, I comprehend time, you're just gonna leave for a couple hours. You haven't had a break since I came out of your womb. Go take time for yourself, Mom. That's not what happens with an infant. An infant's like, you're leaving, freaks out.
And that's normal for
and that's
to
normal.
leave. So everybody has abandonment issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Because when that is created, when we move through that life experience, we weren't raised by enlightened people. Our parents weren't enlightened, right? So they did not know how to guide that child through processing the fear of abandonment, the watching you leave, and whatever other emotional pain that may have caused. Because of that, those energies, our emotions are energy. We are nothing but energy. Our emotions are energy. And because that energy never dies, that gets trapped. And that stays, it becomes a part of our personality. It eventually can cause illnesses, disease, symptoms of things. But that trapped energy stays inside of us. Because of that, when we really go to the deepest levels and learn this stuff on an energetic level, we understand everybody has that stuff that is not processed, unhealed. Those are the things that make up our shadow selves. The stuff that is less than divine, less than universal wisdom, for example, that stays inside of us. And because of that, it starts to dominate how we react to things. It dominates our ability to, or interferes with our ability to manifest things that we want to manifest, to heal fully and wholly, even though you're a really good person and you're generally happy, but I just can't seem to get through this, or I just can't seem to heal this thing, or I just can't reach a level of success that I've always wanted and I know I'm capable of. What is in there, that's your shadow self. Those are the unhealed energies that we need to transform and alchemize into a higher vibrational frequency so they no longer hold you back.
What is different now is that I've been able to access my traumas that happened in a childhood, then alchemize them, and then basically become empowered instead of reacting immediately with the ego. And when we say ego, it is not like, hey, I am the best in the world. We're talking about the ego that basically gets me to go to whine, or gets me to overeat, or gets me to get angry.
Right.
Basically anything that isn't in harmony, that isn't in peace, right? The shadow self is running.
Because in a lot of other methods that people use, you may be healing layers. We start with the programs that I offer and that we teach my coaches, my certified coaches offer at Masters of Self University. A lot of people will go through layers, surface layers. So we teach you what the surface layer programs are. Those can be healed, and yet stuff comes back, or you still struggle, or it's still, you have to really consciously work really, really hard and be very aware of how not to fall into your addiction or make poor choices or react poorly or whatever the example may be. But this work teaches you how to go all the way to the core. What is the wound that creates those addiction programs or any negative programs to begin with? What is the core wound? Because that wound, if that's not healed and alchemized, it will always recreate the problem, which is why cancer always comes back, for example. You may have treated the cancer. You didn't treat the core wound that created the cancer to begin with, so you didn't actually heal. Healing can be temporary, which isn't really healing at all, is it? You've healed surface layer stuff, but when that core wound is still there, it will still reproduce and recreate programs to show you, hey, I'm going to wave at you. I'm still in here. Are you going to heal me? Are you going to love me into transcendence? Or are you going to continue to live in some degree of suffering because I'm trapped in here?
So let's get to relationships. Why do people repeat the same pattern of dating the same type of men, but just think, oh, this is a new guy, this is a new situation, right?
Yep.
And they don't get to the core wound, right? Of what maybe happened with my father.
Right.
Right.
Simple answer is you're not healed. That's for any person listening. The simple answer is when those energetic programs get created that allow you to, that's why you're attracted to certain people. It's my programs are going to be energetically attracted to your programs. And what that means is we have to understand relationships are not here to make us happy. They're here to make us conscious.
That's so profound. Could you say that one more time?
Relationships are not here to make us happy. They are here to make us conscious. And so when we've learned to look for happiness outside of ourselves, that includes relationships. Oh, you're going to make me happy. You're going to fill me up. Oh, no, thank you. No, I fill myself up. I heal myself. I meet my own needs. Because then whatever you bring to the table in this relationship, it already overflows with abundance. Mm-hmm. I'm already in abundance, and now there's an overflow. Abundance is expansive. It's infinite. So our programs, when they're unhealed, they are going to vibrate, activate that other person's programs. And what that really means is your unhealed stuff. Why? Because relationships aren't here to make us happy. They're here to make us conscious. We are divine beings. We just don't know it. So other people will come into your life to show you, oh, isn't this sweet? We're falling in love. Oh, I'm so attracted to you. And then a few months later, oh my God, I'm so triggered by you. I want to shove a pencil through your eyeball. Like, why are you pissing me off so much? I thought I was falling in love with you. Isn't this great? And then it's the triggers happen, and then the conflict happens. And the reason why that happens in our unconsciousness is because our programs, our wounds are trying to show themselves. They're using the other person as a mirror to say, hey, you have this stuff to heal. You ready? There's another person in your life. Now's the perfect time to heal it, so that you can then go off and live in harmony.
And that's why it's so positive, even though you shouldn't be in a relationship that isn't loving. So if we go back to my own personal life, my dad wasn't necessarily an asshole. He didn't have parenting, right? Mm-hmm. And he was actually just quite cold and very critical, right? So then I take that in, right, as a young child, and he, he did the best job he could. And then I go and attract basically the same type of man. And I think it's him, the guy that I'm with, or the ex-husband or whatever, right? Then I realize that it isn't him. It's all about me. So then I'm supposed to be thanking the assholes that I've dated my whole life for giving me all this information to process. And then once I process the trauma with you or your process, you don't even have to meet you. You set up self-empowerment with the book and the university. There's a lot of teachers that you're teaching. But once I get the guidance in finding that trauma with my father, then it's healed. And then I just only attract a really great, amazing guy. Is that the truth? Is it that easy or that difficult?
Mostly true, because the first way of oneness is the way of responsibility. We have to take responsibility, which means part of our responsibility as an enlightened characteristic is to then choose. That pattern was healed. It's to now choose to not reenact that pattern again. So you will bring in people, you will attract a man, for example, that might be a test.
It to see how far I've come.
How divine are you really?
And how can I stay in peace and harmony while he's triggering me? Because it isn't about him. It's about what I haven't healed. And that's the biggest change. Like, I understood this intellectually working with you. You know that, because I had done a lot of work. I did not understand it emotionally.
Right, exactly. That you're triggering me, and the person triggering you really might be an absolute asshole in that moment. They may be doing very unloving things. They may be saying horrible things or mean things or not. They really might be doing that, and that's the trap. That even though I can see your programs, that you're doing some really unloving, hurtful things right now, what does that activate inside of me? That doesn't mean what you're doing is okay. I make that very clear for everybody listening. It doesn't mean we diminish or justify or excuse other people's behaviors. We elevate bit above that, beyond that, and we understand their behaviors. That doesn't mean we excuse it. We go into divine understanding. I can see the programs you are running right now. I can also see that those programs are not personal. Nothing's personal. I can also take it a step farther or a deeper and say, what did that activate inside of myself? Is this trigger here just to show me that I have wounds, my childhood wounds that are still trapped in there? Because it really may take an asshole in front of you to trigger those wounds. That might be the only way those wounds are triggered, to show you, oh, look at that, I have healing to do. So then it's, when you go in and you put yourself first in a divine way, I'm not going to react to this. I am going to go inside of myself. I am going to alchemize these wounds. I'm going to nurture my inner child who is still there and activated. I'm an adult now. Any child, any inner child that shows up shouldn't be here. You're an adult now. So it's not about, oh, just love your inner child. No. We want to integrate and grow that child up into a divine adult, because I'm an adult now. I shouldn't have little child things being triggered left and right. So the person in front of you, maybe it took an asshole in order to activate that little bit that was left, in order to show you it's here, it's alive, this trauma's not healed yet. And then we can say thank you to that asshole. Maybe not to their face. Maybe not to their face, but we can say thank you so much. That allowed me to see I have more healing to do. And as long as you take the way of responsibility, the first way of oneness, you take that responsibility seriously in a divine way, you can heal yourself, because this person triggered you in order for you to have the opportunity to heal. Who would not be in gratitude for that?
When you read your book, there is no doubt if both partners read it, they would have a happy marriage if they did everything in here. So talk about a marriage that is unhappy but that can become happy, and a marriage that is unhappy And based on this, if they're not doing the universal ways, they should be divorced.
Yeah, so we have to remember, first of all, that when you pick the person or you attract the person, they are not coming to you perfect and everything is going to be like it's shown in Hollywood. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
They have their wounds, they have their programs, they have their flaws, they have their humanness. And that is for us to learn how to spiritually mature, emotionally mature. We all are being called to grow up and understand that it takes work. It takes work on ourselves to find joy and happiness within ourselves. And then you come together in a partnership and you realize, oh, it's not just my wounds anymore. It's not just my unhealed stuff. It's also yours. Oh, look at that. Now we have double or triple the wounds, because how many you have, who knows? We come together in this way. If we are really coming together in love, most people get in relationship and they couple up because of egoic attachment or trauma bonding.
Or they're alone. Is that both under there?
Yeah.
And then eventually blame each other for their problems.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They don't come together. Most people don't come together in love. Love isn't a feeling. It is not a feeling. It is a way of being. Love is a way of being. It means when you are ugly running your programs today, how am I going to show up?
Meaning when people are not their best, am I unconditionally loving you?
Yes.
That's real love.
That's real love. And
Okay.
it means, oh, you're working through some stuff today. Your programs are getting triggered. Your wounds are getting triggered. So how am I going to show up in ways of oneness, in loving support of you? And that never means enabling. People think, I get walked all over because of that. Why do you let yourself get walked all over? Set the goddamn boundaries.
Meaning if someone's having a bad mood, I've got to take a walk. But you don't get triggered from their bad mood. You come back, and if they continue in that bad mood, they can go somewhere else at that moment. Okay. That means
set a loving boundary.
Okay.
Set a loving. It's okay that you are this today. Not okay that you take it out on me. What can I do to lovingly support you while you're moving through your pain?
Right.
And then you do it.
Right.
You know, would you like space? Would you like me to sit with you as you process? That's a divine relationship. It doesn't mean, oh, don't feel you're in a bad mood today. Now I'm in a bad mood. Oh, come on, grow up. Now, the reason why it's challenging in that moment, because of oneness, which we don't really comprehend what this means just yet, but we will. The world will at some point. Because we are one, because that is the truth of what we are. It's universal truth that oneness exists. If you are really in a bad mood today and I'm in your presence, ooh, I'm going to feel that. And it's going to make me not want to be in a good mood because I feel your bad mood. And it's not about pointing the finger, blaming, or saying, you need to be happy now. Hurry up, Marcia, be happy because you're making me in a bad mood now. We got to grow up. It's, I can feel where you're at today because of oneness. That allows compassion. The way of compassion is one of the ways of oneness. It allows us to be in the way of surrender or offer the way of patience to you because I can sense that you're in a really bad mood today. And then I can lovingly support you in whatever way you may need. Space, leaving you alone, maybe sitting down with you and having a conversation. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just, how can I lovingly support you?
What about when people say, I need you to do this? I thought that was fascinating in your book.
Yeah, I need you. That person is coming from powerlessness. And the best thing you can do if you're in your power and accessing the power within, oh, you need me? You don't see your own power. I do see your power. So the answer is no.
But can't people be in a relationship where they need that love or need that person?
Neediness is powerlessness. Neediness is, you're a little baby. I can't do it myself. I'm codependent. I need you to make me feel better and love me so that I can feel good and happy again. That's powerlessness. That is childish behavior. And what we are doing is we are creating child-parent relationships and wondering why the fucking romance dies. I mean, give me a break. Do you want to have sex with a child?
No.
And yet this person is showing up as a child and we wonder why sex dies. It's like, you keep showing up as your inner child? That is going to kill the passion. No, thank you. We can take sex off the table for a while.
So what if I need that man to listen to me?
You don't need him to listen. You want him to listen. And there is a difference.
Perfect.
So as we grow and mature, is it absolutely loving to have your partner sit and be able, with openness and spaciousness, just listen while you move through your stuff? Where I really want to share this with you. Whether it was a most remarkable thing happened to me today or the worst thing in the world happened to me today. I have a horrible story about today. It doesn't matter, anything in between. I want to share this with you. And yes, it is very loving and it is wonderful and magnificent and it feels really emotionally intimate when your partner says, Spill it. Let me hear. Talk to me. Absolutely. Do you need that? Not if you're in your power.
Because you're giving it to yourself.
You give it to yourself.
And if you find that there's a lacking moment, right, where you're going to that man or woman, right?
Yep.
You need to fill that up first.
Exactly.
Okay. So what about if you're in a relationship where it really needs to end? It's not healthy for the kids. It's not healthy for yourself.
Yeah.
How do you proceed with knowing that that is the right decision instead of this amazing unconditional love you talk about?
Well, unconditional love is divine, and it's a way of being, remember? So even in that scenario, I have had people come to me for coaching, relationship coaching, in order to part ways because they wanted to do it lovingly and they didn't want to take wounds and pain with them.
And have it on their children.
Yes.
Because the children are picking up on everything anyway,
100%.
especially when a relationship's not working.
100%.
And you're not saying get up and get divorced easily. You're saying work through this, actually probably read the book 10 times. And if you guys can't come to an understanding of these ways and these ways to live, this relationship needs to part.
It's not black and white. I have to make that clear. It is not cookie cutter. Every situation is uniquely different. And so how do we know what to do is get out of the mind and stop asking what to do. Drop into our heart, follow our heart, heal ourselves fully. Because if you are parting from a relationship, if that relationship is going to end, there's healing that needs to happen. That's black and white. It is, I don't care what the relationship was. It is never easy, and there's no such thing that it doesn't cause some pain or some at least little micro traumas, if not very traumatic, when we end a relationship. And because of that, our number one focus, if we are living in oneness, is I am going to heal myself through this period end, and if at all possible, I'm going to heal with the other person. If we heal through this, we can lovingly part ways, no traumas, no wounds, no bitterness, no resentment, no negativity, no nothing. Only a higher level of consciousness, closer to enlightenment, because we chose to part ways with love and healing. And guess what? Sometimes that's the miracle.
Let's say one partner doesn't meet you there. You can still stay in unconditional love, still go into your bedroom by yourself, empower yourself, and find the way to heal your traumas
100%.
so that you're constantly for your kids and even this partner that may not operate coming from oneness.
You got it.
Which is what's so profound. We can all know this again intellectually. It's a whole different thing to really empower and do it, because that's what the book lays out. But we'll get to the book in a minute. What about parents?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I tell you to say goodbye to your mother and father, absolutely. Sometimes goodbye, kiss off, you gotta go. Why would you stay in a relationship that is abusive? And a lot of people still have parents that are very abusive to them.
They don't even recognize it, right?
So I heal myself, and I don't make excuses anymore. Oh, but it's my parents. Oh, grow up. We gotta grow up now. Come on. It's time to grow up and not be a little child anymore who's trapped in a house where they have no choice who their parents are. See, this is a big kick in the ass for everybody to now wake up and actually become enlightened people. Instead of making all these excuses where I stay codependent and needy and like a little child. It isn't about pointing the fingers. It's never about blaming your parents. It's never about making them bad. Never. Not if you're a divine person.
Because they did the best job they could.
Of course they did.
And those are your wounds that you have to heal to find self-empowerment.
You got it. And a lot of your wounds came from them. And it's not about blaming them. It just is what it is. That's just the way of truth. It's just truth. And even though a lot of your wounds and programs may have come from them, they're mine now. And that means it is my responsibility to heal them.
So you go ahead and heal them, and then it's hard to be in relationship.
It can be.
Even if only because you can get triggered and triggered and triggered by their comments over and over. You get to a point where even if you've healed yourself, why do I want to put myself in that triggering?
Why would I still go in
All
there?
energy should be towards love and expansiveness and, okay.
You got it. And it's when I heal myself truly and fully, I don't get triggered by them anymore. However, why would I choose to continue to put myself in the presence of somebody who's never going to stop criticizing me, who's never going to stop putting me down, who's never going to stop doing whatever programs they're running and doing? It's just like, oh, okay, I can see you with love. It doesn't mean I have to be with you in love. I can be apart from you and still offer love to you. I don't have to hang out with you. Why do we break up our friendships? this one is such an asshole. Oh my God, this friend is I can't even believe I'm friends with this person. I'm healing, I gotta say goodbye. But we don't do that to our family members? This is mental insanity. No, sometimes it's time to say goodbye to them. And never though with resentment, blame. You heal that crap.
Right.
But sometimes we do have to end those relationships, and that means you're stepping into your power. You are accessing the power within to allow them to be on this planet with nothing but love from you, but you don't need to hang out.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing, like you said, relationships or even in work. You're constantly evolving and you're constantly expanding, we hope, your consciousness. And if you do really operate in these ways, you start attracting only people, and that isn't the power of attraction, which let's talk about that. You start internally radiating these ways, and then you can only be around people that are like this because you see how self-empowerment and how the divine works within you and guides you and makes you become this whole person. Am I right?
To a degree, because here's the trap that we get in. Here's the mistake that we do make. Yes, you will absolutely attract, and you open yourself up to receive is a better way to say it.
Okay.
You open yourself up to receive other people who can vibrate at this vibrational frequency, right? So who are going to come in and show some of these similar ways like you. However, when it comes to, say, the law of attraction, I tell people to put that in the trash and set it on fire and walk the fuck away. I'm so sick of hearing about the goddamn law of attraction. It makes me vomit in my mouth, and then I gotta swallow it, and then I gotta go brush my teeth. It's really annoying to have to deal with that. So it doesn't mean the law of attraction doesn't exist, because it is one of a universal truth. However, it is completely mistaught, and it is even more misunderstood out there. It is one piece to a 1,000-piece puzzle, the law of attraction. So there is no such thing as I heal and elevate, the only thing I will ever attract in my life now is just positivity and the same vibrational frequency. If that were the case, I'd never have a goddamn client. Well, I would never get paid for anything that I do and offer in this world. The people who are lower and need help and have their traumas, how would they ever be attracted to me? It doesn't make any sense. You will bring in what you need at that time. And I'm going to let that sink in. I want everybody to really let that digest it. You will bring in, life will give you what you need at that time. Life will also bring into that other person something they might need. And that might be a very highly conscious, elevated, or enlightened person. You didn't attract this, and yet life brought you to them so that you could help them, or vice versa. Sometimes, yes, our programs, all the things, the unhealed stuff is absolutely a part of attracting into our lives exactly what we don't want. So part of that is true, but we have to get out of this delusion that like nothing bad is ever going to happen to me ever again because I'm getting highly conscious. I want everybody to hear me say that. I mock it for a reason. It's pure ignorance. It means whatever life is going to give to me today, if I am functioning in the ways of oneness and I am connected to my internal power, my divine power, my divinity, if I'm connected to that, I will get through this, and I will get through it with grace. And I will love myself and I will nurture myself through this challenge, maybe through this trauma, maybe through something that is devastating and making me cry and go into grief. I will move through that with love and nurturing and peace in my heart because I'm a divine being. There's no such thing as nothing bad will ever happen to me ever again because I'm a very high vibrational frequency.
So how do we make sure that we don't become a victim to these really hard things that happen to us in our life?
Yeah, well, first we have to stop blaming source or God or whatever you want to call the creator. We have to stop blaming that entity for all of it. And we have to stop living in the, why would this ever happen? Why would source God ever do that? God isn't doing anything. You're fucking doing it. Oh, the way of responsibility.
That's
hold on.
hard. How are we doing it?
Yeah. We have free will choice. We have free will choice. Anybody can go get a gun and shoot up people at a 4th of July parade. God didn't come down and be like, I'm going to buy a gun and I'm going to shoot people up because I'm God. What the fuck are we thinking? This is the level of ignorance that we have. No. I choose to do this. I am making this choice to do this.
So when people do bad things, That I understand with free will. But what about when things happen to you? It still is your choice to react, not as a victim.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean you were not victimized.
Right.
So that's the trap. Doesn't mean you were not victimized. You 100% were victimized. It was absolutely horrific what happened to you.
Yeah.
You
Your parent was shot at a July 4th parade.
Yes.
Just happened in Chicago area.
Yes, 100% victimized. Of course we are victimized. Of course we're treated horribly.
Right.
Terrible things happen by terrible people.
Right.
We learn to first honor that trauma. We learn to first honor our pain because that's a real thing. It really did happen. We go there first. That's the way of honoring. We learn to honor our pain. In order to not have that turn into victim consciousness, we have to heal our trauma. The only reason why victim consciousness, oh, life is unfair. Oh, God, why did you do this? Everybody else's fault, blame everybody but me. The reason why we go into that is because we never learned how to heal our trauma to begin with. And we never learned how to honor our pain. And that means we go into the pain when it happens because it's very traumatic. It was horrific. Yes, this person did whatever they did to you, whatever horrific thing they could have done. Or your brother,
sister died.
Absolutely.
Or, there's just so many things. That are terrible. But you go in, you honor the pain.
Yeah.
And again, you give the technique, and I learned it fortunately through you. You go in, and it may take a while to honor it.
Yeah. And however long it takes is divine, perfect timing. That's unique for you. As long as you are actually healing it and loving it and nurturing it and honoring it and not getting trapped in the agony of it.
But you also go on to talk about the higher self. We are God. So our godness is unlimited. And literally when you ask for it to be healed and keep on when you're feeling the suffering of that old trauma, keep on asking. I felt it. It was just so obvious that I was expanding in the light. So will you elaborate before we get to money, because I think money is a really important topic, and then we'll get to the book. It's just this technique of literally feeling the trauma. Maybe we go into your trauma or my trauma, then bringing the love in and realizing that you are the divine. It's not God's outside, God's within us.
Yes. So when we realize we are an extension of Source, this is my divinity inside of myself. You are just an extension of Source that decided I'm going to take a piece of me and incarnate in as a human, in human form or whatever being, in a tangible form. And then I'm going to live and experience and express myself in this form. That is every person. Okay? That is our Source, divine creator that we have inside of ourselves. And when we realize that we need to stop praying to something outside of ourselves, that's how we connect to the power within. That's how we become our own healer. That's how we become our own guru.
It's not about religion. You can believe in Jewish, you can be Muslim, you can be anything. Religion you want.
Yeah.
But you basically become the healer yourself when you heal all your traumas and you heal what is blocking you from being your expansion.
Yes, exactly. And to be clear that Christ consciousness is, again, like you said, it has nothing to do with any religion. Christ consciousness are the ways of oneness. It's becoming one with all. It's becoming one with the universe, one with everything on this particular planet, all the beings. When we learn oneness, we achieve Christ consciousness. That's oneness. Christ consciousness is oneness. So when we can learn how to do that, step by step, little pieces at a time, put it all together, we evolve into a being of oneness. And that's how we can achieve Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness or enlightenment or whatever anybody wants to call it. It doesn't matter what anybody calls it. It's perfect for you. We can do that. Those are the ways of oneness. And that means I become one in oneness with the universe and everything that exists. That's enlightenment. That's enlightenment. That's connecting now to the power, the true power you have within.
That is so profound. Let's talk about the patterns that we learn from our parents that we pass down, and how can we not only manifest more financial abundance, true abundance inside.
Yeah, the very first thing is to understand that abundance is abundance, and to not tie abundance and label abundance only meaning money or financial freedom.
Interesting, because we usually think financial abundance and not fully spiritual abundance.
Yes.
Okay.
So when we talk about abundance, anytime anyone says abundance, it's the first thing people think of. Financial wealth.
Yeah.
Yep. That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. And our financial freedom, when we talk about financial abundance, we have created a society, a world where it's a survival program. How much freedom do you have to move around, enjoy life? And I'm not even talking about materialism and getting every little thing that you wish you had. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
I'm just talking about how much freedom do you have to move around the world, go where you want to go, take a vacation if you want one. Oh, this broke, I need to buy a new one. I really would like to upgrade my house. Car's getting old, I'd like to buy a new car. How many people can just do that and don't think ever a thought about, oh no, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I have enough money.
That's almost the automatic response.
You got it.
Unless you're a millionaire.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have a lot of money, you still think,
yeah,
I'm not sure, right?
Right.
And that is a survival program?
We have turned it into a survival program. So across the entire world, all of humanity, money has become a survival program because I need it to survive. I need it for food, I need it for shelter, I need it for everything.
But that's like what David Hawkins talks about. That's the base level of survival,
that
right?
That is the base level of survival.
But that survival level of just getting food on your plate, right?
Yes.
Has now infiltrated to people that are living quite good lives, right?
Yes.
And you're not saying don't be impractical and save. You're just saying that this program is running in all of us.
Yes, and it's turned into a survival program. So we first have to understand what a survival program means.
Okay.
And get out of the mind, because the rational mind will mess this up 100% of the time. We don't think, we don't intellectualize, we don't rationalize, we just understand the energies of survival programs. And the energy of survival means my body has a reaction. It goes into fight, flight, or freeze. A survival program means something inside of me believes I'm at risk for injury, harm, or even death. Your mind can't comprehend it. Survival programs that get activated means like my life is in danger. So if you suddenly, oh no, I don't know if I can pay the rent next month, boom, trigger, what's activated? Survival programs. I'm not able to support myself. I'm not able to survive. That's what survival program means. And we have to understand that's what it activates inside of us. So when it's a survival program, people talk about scarcity programs, it goes deeper than that. It isn't just about scarcity or change your thinking. No. Heal your survival programs and tap into the power that you have within to alchemize anything that triggers survival, so your body, your energy system doesn't immediately go into this fight, flight, or freeze when it comes to money. And how do you tell? You usually feel a little bit of fear right in your stomach area, right where your solar plexus is.
If you're talking about money?
If you're talking about money, the fear, most people will be able to detect the fear in their solar plexus, in their abdomen. Most people cannot detect their root chakra, the chakra that everybody's sitting on if you're sitting down. They can't sense what actually got activated in there, which is like this tornado of, I'm gonna die, oh no! We can't detect that subtle energy yet. A lot of people aren't really that evolved yet, but most people can go right into their stomach and I feel a little bit of fear. That's the root chakra traveling up the system, and that's where we can actually feel. That's where our power is held, is in our abdomen.
So you're mentioning that you go in. First off, you have to be careful of your words. You become conscious that you're saying, I can't because of this.
Right.
Because that's immediately the survival program,
yeah.
right? You may be practical.
Yes.
You may not, at that moment, have the money to go do what you want.
Right.
Right? But you still need to go into figuring out this fear and
yes.
survival program. So people are not aware that they're doing exactly what their childhood experience of picking up their family in the first 7 years, pretty much,
program
right?
them to do.
So whatever you grew up financially, let's just say someone is really wealthy, right? They grew up with a tremendous amount of money. They didn't grow up with a lot of fear, right? Often they will end up attracting a lot of money in their life because they didn't even know it to be a problem. Right? Then you grow up in a family that, okay, let's just take a minister who's doing incredible work, who's completely beautiful, loving, relaxed. We're not talking about all the dysfunctional money problems, right? And they grow up with pretty much nothing, but the children are either programmed in a situation where they feel like they're never going to have a lot of money because they didn't, or real abundance, right?
Well, it's the only way I can be good and do good things is if I'm also broke.
Oh, that is a common program.
That's a common program. Oh, if I'm broke, that means I'm a good person. So the more I heal myself, the less money. And I've seen this happen with people, actually. I've had clients where I'm totally awakening, I'm healing myself, I'm becoming more highly conscious, and on my bank account, it's like everything is happening to deplete my bank account. I'm like, well, why do you think that is? Let's do the work. Let's do the process and connect the dots down. What has been programmed in there? And it's never been activated before because you weren't this good person before. You had all the money in the world and all the success. Now you're a good person. What's happening to all your money? So our programs are energetic and they are lying dormant all the time, but what activates them are our life experiences. Now, to stay with this example briefly, this person now struggling with money, losing everything. I don't know if I have to file for bankruptcy. And this is a person who traveled the whole world and had like everything before. And it's, let's connect the dots and do the real work into what energetically was programmed in there at some point. And the program of, well, if I'm a healed person, if I'm a spiritual person, it means I have to have nothing. I can't have abundance. I can't have financial abundance. It's like, wow. So we heal that program and we also refocus on what abundance actually means, because I do have an abundance of power. It's right inside of myself.
Because we're unlimited.
We are unlimited.
So we really could financially be unlimited.
Yes, if we learn how to access the power within, because that's infinite, that is unlimited. We have that wealth, that abundance, and you learn how to work with that energy, and then you realize all of the other abundance that starts to flood in, which is just a reflection of the other forms of abundance that are coming, an abundance of support, an abundance of free time that maybe you never had before, an abundance of new loving friendships, an abundance of, an abundance of, an abundance of, and next thing you know, when you're focused on all of the beautiful abundance you do have and you continue to heal the programs that block any financial abundance, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I have all these opportunities and the financial abundance is just flooding in. I don't even have to try anymore.
Wow. Wow. That is so profound. So basically, one of the first things that you should start healing is your financial lack, basically, or anything in lack.
Fear.
Fear.
You heal the fear, you heal powerlessness programs. Powerlessness programs are always, 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 and I mean always with all capital letters, always connected to scarcity. I'm powerless. This is out of my control. I can't control this. And there's a lot of other programs connected to the financial scarcity, but there was always, no matter how unique anybody's particular cluster of programs are that's creating their situation, always there's powerlessness, always. When it comes to a lack of financial abundance, it's powerlessness. So you don't focus on money. That is the biggest mistake, the worst thing we do. I gotta attract money and no. Take those teachings and put them in the goddamn trash. I already told you, set it on fire, walk away. We have to form a new way, a more elevated and divine way. And that means, what are the powerlessness programs I'm running? What are the powerlessness programs that are trapped inside of me? And they may be unhealed traumas. They may be things that you have no idea yet. They may be things that you can't even connect or relate to at all. Of course, what you find at the core wounds will almost never have anything to do with money. Rarely will they actually be money related, even though the result that you're experiencing in your life is financial scarcity.
Because you feel powerless, right?
Yes.
So then usually, again, it's happened, some experience or trauma, usually it's in the first 7 years, right? Because then it keeps on repeating after that. So you go back in, which is amazing with MSU, your university that you created, which we need to have everywhere. It should be Harvard. Basically, you have this workbooklet that you go through and you figure out these traumas, these triggers, everything that has happened in your life, and you go and find many examples of powerlessness, right? And then you find the source to that powerlessness, right? And why don't we, before we get into the ways, why don't we go to how you did this in your own life? We wouldn't wish anybody to go through any kind of abuse, but you now see the silver lining, this incredible book, this incredible university, what you're doing to help so many people. Tell us about what happened. I think it was 5 years old, your father passed? Yeah.
1 week after I turned 5, my biological father died. And very shortly after that, my mother started to date a man who she married and became my stepfather. And I grew up with him my entire childhood, and he was extraordinarily abusive.
And he was a major doctor. So
Yeah.
on the outside, it looked like, oh, great doctor, but he was bipolar.
Yeah, and mentally ill. It's a very successful physician, but mentally ill and extraordinarily abusive.
And you're just chasing perfection all the time, getting perfect grades, perfect sports, perfect everything, right? But not feeling the perfection that we should feel. And was it 12 years old that this
13.
happened? 13. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I developed the programs of, if I'm just better, if I just do more, if I just get, straight A's and the A pluses, if I do better in my sports, and he'll finally, instead of abusing me verbally, mentally, sometimes physically, it's, he'll say, good job, you worked so hard. So I developed the programs of seeking validation and approval, that if you approve of me, that means I'm okay. That means I'm good. I can be okay with me. I can be happy if you approve of me. Oh, how many people run those programs? Seeking validation outside of themselves. And I had gotten a B in one of my classes, and of course that's like getting an F. You mean you might as well fail out of school. And all the abuse that comes with that. And I just worked so hard. I have to pull this grade up. I can't believe I got a B. It was like devastating, which is ridiculous. It was devastating because of what came with it. And I worked so hard, and I pulled that grade up. And I remember he came home from work, and I had my report card. And I was standing in our living room, and I handed him my report card, and I was just looking up at him, just waiting. I was watching his facial expression to see when he was going to smile and turn around and maybe give me that verbal approval.
Because you got an A minus.
I got an A, like you did it.
A, yeah.
And it was an A minus. And he looked at it, and instead of what I was hoping for, as I looked up at him, his face turned, and I knew what was coming. I knew the abuse was coming. So I instantly froze, went into that fight, flight, or freeze. I froze, I knew what was coming, and I stared at him. And right when he started to unleash how stupid I was, this is an A minus, it doesn't even count as an A, you're too fucking stupid to get an A, And he just started yelling. I had an out-of-body experience. It was like my soul just left my body and went kind of up and behind, and I was just watching us. And as I watched us and watched him, I just had this epiphany. Oh my God, this has nothing to do with me. And then it was this feeling of, stop taking his abuse so personally. And it was like, it has nothing to do with me. And I got a little smile. And it felt like 4 million pounds lifted off of my shoulders. And I came back into my body. And he did what he did. And I knew from that moment, I am not here to please anybody. My validation comes from me. You can go fuck off. Because that's your abuse, you're just projecting it on. The way that you grew up, your programs, your wounds, you're projecting them onto me. This isn't about me. This isn't about an A minus or an A plus or a B or a whatever. It has nothing to do with me. No matter how personally it feels, it's not personal. From that day on, I give a fuck what anybody thought of me.
So you had to stay in that home for till you were 18.
Yeah.
And he continued to abuse you the next 5 years, and you were able to basically observe it. And not, it still goes into the body.
Yeah.
Still goes
And it
into
was
the
horrific.
psyche. Right.
It was horrific.
But you were able to observe it differently. And then you knew that you want to be in communications because you're a great communicator. And then you knew that you wanted to be in behavioral sciences in the sense of mental and emotional and helping people.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know
I didn't want to have anything to do with people. I wanted to work with animals. I didn't want to have anything to do with people. This is my path, but I was not aware of what my path really was. And
how did you find this path then?
The universe laid it before me and said, you have to do this, you have to master that, you have to master this. I went through about a 12-year test of initiation, which was hell, in order to get to where I am. I always had the ability to heal. I always had the ability, these really profound psychic abilities. I could just see. I was in connection with the universe. I always heard what the universe wanted me to do. Applying for college, it was, I just have to apply to this one. And of course, here comes the abuse and how stupid I was to only apply to one college. Nobody does that. You're never going to get in and blah, blah. And I'm like, I was told to just apply early, that I'm in. I'm already in. Why would I waste my time on all these applications when that's the college I'm being guided to go to? I applied and I got in. Early decision.
This started for you very early. And what's interesting about your book is that if people read it, I hope more than once, that they will, as an adult, instill this immediately, because you're basically giving them the technique to find the divine within. As you got divinely moved into this path, right, you would hear, like Masters of Self University, right?
Yeah.
Basically a way, which is, we'll get to Mason next, a way to live our lives. I mean, you must have, through your traumas and your hardship, had gone through so much that you had to heal, but you were hearing it over and over and over, as we would just say divine or source, as to how to help others, and then seeing firsthand, like I've just had in the last 6 months with each client, that you were healing them and their lives were better and they were feeling better.
Yeah.
So you got enough confirmation over and over and over to develop a university and to put it all into a book, so that the rest of the world, and that's why we're here today, can hear about how to become happy, basically. Am I summing that up right?
Yeah. It was, I made a vow to myself when I was a teenager, when I finally got to leave that house, that no matter what, I was going to heal myself. That was it. I literally said to myself when I was off to college, I was leaving for college, and I said, there's no way I'm not fucked up. There's no way I'm not fucked up from all this. I played the sports. I was an athlete in college. I got good grades. I had a ton of friends. On the outside, everything was great. But I knew, I'm like, there's just no way. And I don't know how I am, but I'm going to find out how I am. And I am never going to stop. I don't care if it takes a lifetime for me to heal myself. That was my number one responsibility and goal in this lifetime. I was going to heal myself of all the garbage. I was going to uncover it. I was going to see what was hidden. There's no way you can live like that and not have, terrible programs or unhealed stuff. So I just made a vow. That's what I was going to do. That is what allowed me to go on to the path to truly, authentically, at the deepest level, heal me, and then be able to offer that to other people. I think often we do things backwards in our world. Like, oh, I want to help people, I want to heal people. Help yourself first.
And
heal
that's the number one
first.
advice, is you've got to heal yourself
Yes,
first. You got to do
It's
it.
the most selfless thing you can do. You can only teach what you have first become. So what are you teaching if you haven't become that yet? Bunch of shit. Bunch of shit. You're teaching a bunch of shit. You read a bunch of books and you spew a lot of knowledge. And look at me, follow me, I'm an influencer. Nah. Go inside, do the dirty work. Find out all the ugly things that you have hidden in there. All that pain, all that trauma, the stuff that you don't want anybody to know about you. That's what we have to go into and bring to the surface, and bring nothing but love to that. Alchemize that. Honor that. And then when you become a more elevated being, that's what you are. You are the gift to the world, because you get to be yourself, your whole self, your divine self, your true self. Everybody that comes in contact with you only benefits from your energy, your essence, because you've done the hard, painful work. This is warrior's work. You've become the divine warrior. You've healed every ugly, dark thing inside of you. You have alchemized it, and now you get to offer that to your friends, your family, to clients, to people you work with, your colleagues. That's what you get to offer. You become the gift in this work. And that's not from ego, that's from divinity. The essence of you is divine. You now get to radiate that out to other people in the world.
Why don't people want to do it?
They've learned to live in powerlessness, and they've learned to live in fear. So we're afraid to go inside and see all that ugly shit. Look at all the masks we wear. Look at how we present ourselves in social media. One of my sayings is, you have to learn how you are actually showing up in this world versus how you like to think you're showing up. You're ready to do that, you're ready to become a warrior. I need to see what programs I'm running even though I'm not aware of them. I need to see what's in my blind spot. Nothing in our blind spot is hidden, because it's bliss, joy, positivity. It's hidden and it's in our blind spots. We don't want to see it because it's ugly, it's harmful. We're ashamed of it. And that is precisely why we need to go in with love and shine the light on it, bring it forward. Nurture all of that shame, all that harm that we may have caused, all that victim consciousness. Bring it to the light, alchemize it, elevate it, so that we can truly walk the path of the spiritual warrior, or as an enlightened being, and heal the whole planet.
If you had met me 25 years ago, I would look at you and say, I'm just, trying to speak for the general public, because, half the general public's on, pharmaceuticals, trying to find happiness. Mm-hmm. How am I going to find this happiness? I am in deep depression and I don't want to go on drugs, and I don't think the marijuana and alcohol is helping, but I can't seem to stop it. What would you say to me 25 years ago? Because today I'm a different person.
Are you willing and are you devoted? Because that's what it requires. Are you willing to learn, and are you willing to be devoted to the process that it takes to heal yourself? And if a person...
Everybody wants to be healed.
Everybody wants to. Doesn't mean they're willing to do the work. There's a difference.
Okay.
Oh, I want healing. So many people in our society, I want healing. Here, can't you just put your hands on me and do some Reiki or some shit, and then I'm like healed? First way of oneness is a way of responsibility. You have to learn to take responsibility for yourself. And that means you have to be willing to do the hard work. It is an ugly and painful process to go into everything that is unhealed inside of you. It is ugly. That you have to make a choice. It's that simple. Everybody has a choice. And it's learning to connect to the power within, learning to connect to my power inside of myself. It's a very simple question to ask. Are you willing to learn how to connect to the power inside of you, harness that power, grow it? It's like building muscle. You make it stronger. Are you willing to do the process and devote yourself to it? If you are, there's no such thing as this work not working. That's the best part. There is such thing as you not doing the real work. But there is no such thing as the work not working.
Okay, I'm getting shivers all over my body. That is completely profound. So if I had met you 25 years ago and you had this information that's all in a book or a university, right? And I was willing to do the work, I would find not only the divine within, I would find happiness.
Absolutely. The happiness is inside. We just have to heal your shadow self. That is the only thing that is blocking people's happiness. Their shadow selves.
And those are the traumas, the wounds that happen most often, usually in our childhood.
Yep.
But it could happen later. I haven't found any teacher ever like you that can go right directly into that womb, get me to do the work. I mean, I'll do the work no matter what, but show me the technique and then alchemize and find happiness and then see everything radiate and working immediately.
Yeah.
And I really feel that in this last hour of the interview, when we go through Mason's Way, this is a unique Bible. I have never seen anything like it. And everybody is seeking happiness. And I know that you're so humble to not really say that it's you and that it's your dog that did this. But it's out there now. People can find happiness if they do the work, sign up for your university, sign up to read this more than once.
Yeah.
They can, and you feel that strongly about it.
100%, there's no doubt.
So, Rachel, talk about Mason, your dog. This is so beautiful, this story. What happened?
Where do I begin? So first of all, Mason was I call him my soul companion dog. He was with me for just over 14 years. And his life with me, of course, I didn't realize it at first, but his life with me, he really was a role model of every way of oneness. And everybody that met him, and I knew how special he was when I first got him, he just was this sacred, special, divine soul.
Everybody thinks their dog is special, okay? They're unconditional love. I love my dogs. Everybody loves their dogs. But I thought it was interesting the way you laid out. Mason channeled these ways, and you have other pets. So Mason really was different than the average dog.
Yeah, and everyone that met him knew that something was very special, extra special about him. And he was role modeling all of these ways the whole time. And as I was going through my spiritual growth and I was becoming the spiritual leader that I was meant to become, he was my role model and my teacher to activate the ways and allow me to realize that these ways are not just for humans. I mean, we really live in our arrogance and our ego, we humans, thinking that other beings are inferior to us. We really love to act out these superior, inferior programs. We see it with sexism, we see it with racism, we see it all over the world. We also see it with speciesism. We see it with the way that we treat animals, the planet, nature, like they're less than us instead of equal to us. And of course, one of the ways of oneness is the way of equality. But Mason demonstrated these ways, and the day that he died, it was the very next morning, and I am crying, my eyes are swollen shut, I am in grief, I'm trying to stop crying long enough to just breathe for a few minutes, and I was sitting on my couch, and I got the message, go get your laptop. And I just, because I know what that means as a channel, I know what that means. You've got to be kidding me right now. You've got to be kidding me.
Because you're crying. You're in grief. The last thing you want to do is write.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything, just nurture and love my grief. And it said, you know, again, it was go get your laptop.
So you go get your laptop.
Got my laptop.
And you start hearing from Mason?
Not from Mason.
Okay.
It was the universe that I always channel, but it was, the first message was not to write anything, it was just for me to see. And the message was, do you see now what he actually meant? And then like a movie reel, everything flashed, his entire life, everything, the 14 years of him, every way of oneness just flashed. Do you see what he was really here to show you? And when I saw that, of course, I started to cry, but it was a huge divine epiphany. And then, okay, now let's go.
And so
and
then
when
you laid out these, basically, as far as I can say, this Bible for harmony, the Bible to find happiness. So Mason, in his life, through the divine, all of a sudden you hear exactly how to lay out how to be happy.
Every way of oneness came one by one, and it just channeled, and I wrote them all down. And every time I wrote about a way, it was like I had taught about it for 1,000,000 years.
And you knew it because you had already embodied it.
Yeah, and it was putting it into words, into teachings, and it was making it easy to understand how to become, you know, an enlightened being. And people might not care about that word. You don't have to care about that word when I say that word.
Most people don't care about being enlightened.
They don't.
They just want to be happy.
They want
their life to be better.
True, pure joy, emotional freedom is enlightenment. Enlightenment doesn't mean you have to be some spiritual person running around the fire half naked chanting Om at people. Like, you don't have to do any of that. That's not what I teach. So when I say enlightenment, really what I mean is you become the version of your most magnificent self that you can achieve in this lifetime. And what does that include? It includes happiness. It includes emotional freedom. It includes empowerment, self-empowerment. That's real enlightenment. And so when I channeled these ways, every way was just, this is how we do it. How can people really achieve it step by step? They can learn about the ways and embody each one. And it's just so simple to do. It's simple but not easy, but it's still simple.
It's simple in the sense that you lay it out simply to find happiness and joy and change your internal trauma and wounds.
Yes.
And alchemize them into joy and happiness. That is not easy. I can say that, okay? But I've been doing the work and I get happier and happier. So which way should we start with?
Let's start with the very first one.
Okay.
We don't have to go over all 20. We'll just give people an idea. But the very first way is the most important, and that is the way of responsibility. And the reason why that is most important is because it's the first way. This is how simple we make it. Way number one. Universal way of number one is the way of responsibility. And I want to say this first, that these ways are not strictly or rigidly linear. They are all-encompassing. They work in all directions all at once. You can be some ways pretty fully and not other ways. But for the most part, there is a linear flow to them. That if you master the way of responsibility, for example, that allows you to much more easily master the way of patience, which is the second one.
And you heard the order.
The order came.
So that's why I think you read it twice.
Yes.
Because the first time you take it in, you digest it. And I felt like light was coming out of the book. I mean, it was really phenomenal. And I felt this before with certain books, very few, where just light. So I see what you're saying, and we'll eventually list at the end of the interview what is the list. But the way of responsibility, the most important part that I thought is that I had to take responsibility for every aspect of my life.
Yes.
From when I picked up that glass of wine,
yes,
to if I got angry, to why my life was this way and not another way. So explain us, what is the way of responsibility?
That's it. It's an enlightened characteristic. So the divine enlightened characteristic of responsibility is I am responsible for me, myself, and I 100% of the time. And I want to go back to what we mentioned earlier. There are so many people who move through life. You are going to have trauma. You are going to be victimized sometimes. You are going to go through painful things. And some people, way more horrific and painful than others, but doesn't matter. Everybody, we're human. Welcome to human life. You're gonna have shit. You are going to go through some shit in life. That's part of life. And just because you were victimized or horrible things were done to you, because they may have been done to you, it is still my responsibility to heal me. It is haphazard, it is reckless, it is harmful to use those traumas as an excuse. Well, this is just the way that I am. Aw, now you're also an immature little spoiled brat who's arrogant and entitled, thinking that you don't have a responsibility to heal yourself. Because when you don't heal yourself, you cause harm to others. That is black and white. Period, end. If you are impatient with your child and they have a learning disability, you're shaming them for their learning disability, whether you realize you're shaming them or not, because you lack patience. You can't take the responsibility to surrender to what is, to go into your heart, to grow the power within, to connect to that, and be more patient, for example, with your child or your loved one when they're having a bad day, or more patient with your puppy when they're going through the chewing phase. You know, you're that irresponsible. How old are you? We live as irresponsible, spoiled, entitled little children that we think just because we're alive, everything should come to us on a silver platter. That arrogance is what needs to dissolve, and it dissolves when we step onto the path of the first way of oneness, and that's the way of responsibility. It is my responsibility to heal me. I cannot have control over what happens to me much of my life. You don't have control over that. You don't have control over your parents, how they raised you. You don't have control if somebody robbed your house, broke and everything, smashed things up and stole from you. You do have control over healing what that created inside of you, because that was a horrible thing you went through. That is the way of responsibility.
And you even think of the bigger picture, because this is Earth School. We
Yes.
come here to learn things, right? And the bigger picture is the second you own this responsibility, it activates, it vibrates, the entire planet starts changing.
Yes.
So often people in their selfishness, and you know, and their pain is really pain and suffering is makes you selfish, is only thinking about how I can heal myself. But they don't realize when they take responsibility for everything, they start changing the planet, and it activates a much larger consciousness.
Yes. We lead into the way of patience. Patience, when we gain some patience, it leads us into the ability to surrender. And I want to mention this one. This is massive. That's why it's only the third way. You realize, well, if I take responsibility for myself, it allows me to start to develop an increased level of patience for things, for myself, for others. And as soon as I start to really master the way of patience, it is so much easier to learn what it means to surrender fully. And that means to have zero resistance to what is, because what is simply is. And if I'm resisting the reality of what is, that makes me a little batshit crazy, doesn't it?
I did not realize until recently, I mean, I'd say the last 10 years, but you really lay it out better than anybody I've ever seen, that when you surrender to really the divine plan and you're not in resistance, things flow so much better.
Yes, they flow. So what we want to do, we want to heal the resistance programs. We want to heal what we're fighting against because we don't like what's happening right now. You don't have to like it. We go through some terrible things. We go through painful moments or really challenging moments. And it can be frustrating. It can be overwhelming. There's nothing wrong with the emotions. Nothing wrong with the emotions. It's the way of surrender is I am able to go inside and begin to become the observer. I dissolve my resistance to what is. Why? That helps me connect to the power I have within.
Say that again. I dissolve my resistance.
And that helps me to connect to the power that I have within.
Right, because when I go with the power within is when I'm surrendering, because I'm not resisting what's happening, and I'm believing that I have the power, which is power, empowerment, not powerlessness, right? I have the power to co-create whatever I want, even if it's sitting in front of me and I don't like it. It's about my reaction. Right?
Yeah, because if I'm resisting what is right now, then I am in weakness, first of all. I'm in a weaker energetic state because I'm resisting.
I love when you say weaker energetic state, because nobody wants to be weaker. But when we're in a weaker energetic state, we're not in the place where we can alchemize with the light and
Exactly.
divine. Right.
You cannot heal and alchemize in those moments when you're in resistance. You have to be connected to universal flow. How do you do that? Well, stop looking outside of yourself, go inside, heal the resistance programs, become aware of, I'm in resistance. I don't like this, I'm refusing. No, I'm throwing my little tantrum. So that means I'm energetically weaker. And if I just stop, connect to my heart, I grow my light, and I just surrender to what is, I'm connecting to my internal power. So I heal the resistance programs, and now I'm connected to my divinity, my divine power, the power within. And that means from that place, is there something that I need to do? Is there an action I need to take? When I'm in a surrendered state, I have the ability in that state with my divine power to either simply be at peace, there's nothing I can do. Okay, well, at least I'm in peace, I don't have to suffer anymore. Or, oh, yeah, this is just going to keep getting worse. I do need to do something, but now I'm doing it I'm taking action from a place of peacefulness, of power. I'm not taking action from, this isn't right, I'm not there. Look at the energy you're adding to the situation.
But there's been situations, at least when we've worked in attachment, like wanting to be with this one man.
Yeah.
Then I'm attaching myself to wanting that, right?
Right.
And I'm in resistance to exactly what is happening, and I need to surrender.
Yes.
So then I'm keeping in a lower vibrational field of, and also perceiving that that man is actually going to make me happy, because I'm still, I can make myself happy whenever I want. Yes. And even if I'm having an enjoyable time with this man and it's long distance and I want to spend time with him, that's still in resistance instead of just surrendering that it will happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Well, let's just think about these horrible fires that have happened. People lose their homes. They lose everything. How do they not have resistance and go right into surrender?
Yeah. They first learn what it means to start to drop into their pain and not ignore their pain. Who wouldn't have pain, devastation, from an example like that? Everything's burning around you and you have to flee, and you're going to come home and there's no more house. You know, of course you're going to have really strong emotions, maybe even trauma from that. You're going to have whatever you're going to have. Surrender means, I know this is very traumatic, and instead of going into resistance, which is, this shouldn't be happening. Well, but it is happening. It actually is happening right now. This is the experience I am having right here, right now. And because of that, instead of suffering through it, I can connect to that still place inside of me. I can connect to my heart chakra, my heart center. And I can, with power, what is the best thing that I need to do right here, right now? And maybe it's pack a bag and run.
It's like there's always something in the divine that we can learn, even though we don't want to go through something as horrific as losing everything.
That is exactly it. That we move through what I refer to as the cycles of wisdom. This is a cycle of wisdom. So that means we go through a life experience. Good, bad, ugly, devastating, it doesn't matter. It is just an experience. We go through an experience because there's some lesson in it for us to learn. And lesson isn't, you should learn your lesson. We have a negative connotation to that. It's, there is a lesson hidden in here. What is this lesson for? It is always for you. Always there is a lesson. What can I learn here? So when I process my pain and I move through this experience and I drop into surrender, let's say I did surrender. I didn't have resistance to it. So I move through this situation like, let's go. No resistance. This is really happening. Get our stuff. We got to get out. And you leave and you realize that in that, how did you show up? What was the gift that was gained? When you learn the lesson that was meant for you through that experience, that allows you to grow and expand as a human. It allows your soul to grow and expand. That's soul expansion, that's soul growth by growing in human form. So you learn that lesson that you were meant to learn. Instead of resisting this time, I just surrendered, and our lives got saved because of that. I didn't stay in the house too long. We got out just in time because I didn't resist what is. So we got our family out. We all are alive because of that. What did I learn? The gift is I learned the way of surrender. I learned to flow with what is happening. And because I learned to flow with what is happening, our lives got saved. Now I'm a person who knows how to trust the universe. I can go and flow with surrender. That's the universal way of oneness. That means that's a universal law. I'm becoming a more enlightened being, a more powerful being because of that. Look at the gift you are now. You learn the way of surrender. You learn the ways of oneness in the sense that to connect to my internal power, I refuse to live in fear. Period, end. Exactly. And I refuse to live in fear does not mean we're irresponsible, because if we're in surrender, we already are the way of responsibility.
Well said. Wow. Because you're not going to go sick and sneeze all over people. Exactly. You're going to be respectful.
Yes.
But you're not going to live in fear.
But you will not allow fear to destroy your body the way that we have been programmed to allow fear to dictate and dominate us. And it doesn't mean, I'm going to say it again, that we lack the way of responsibility. If I'm sick or I have symptoms or I think I've been exposed to anything, I shouldn't be around other people. That's the way of responsibility. It's a lot of the ways, but it's a way of honoring. It's a way of integrity. But it's also, the first way is if I'm divinely responsible, I would never want to get another human sick just because I'm sick. So I'll quarantine myself, or maybe I would wear a mask in that case, or I'd definitely wash my hands a lot more. You know, you practice all the precautions. But I also don't live in fear. And if I am sick, what does this sickness, I don't care if it's a cold, I don't care what it is. If I am sick, what is the lesson here? What is there for me to gain from this experience? Because 100% of the time, there's something for us to gain. We forget in our human ignorance and living so small. We are divine beings here to have these experiences so that we can grow and expand and become more powerful while we're here. And we let things like illnesses and sicknesses and tragedies and devastation, which are all horrible, but we allow them to crush us, to be so weak and pathetic and small that all we do is live in powerlessness and fear. Give me a break. Every human being is more divine than that. Connect to the power within and not have this stuff go on in the world anymore. We would end all war if we learned how to do this. We don't need to live in fear. And living in fear dominates and dictates, and it also weakens your system. You get sick and you live in fear, yeah, good luck. Wouldn't want to be you. You get sick and you're living from a place of power, most likely you will be able to heal yourself through that illness. It might be something you're meant to go through so you can gain the gift you're meant to gain by going through that experience.
Right, and something as bad as cancer. When you go through it, often people are completely changed and are better and more divinely connected. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Right. So where do we go next?
So let's jump to the way of connection.
Okay.
One of the ways of connection, because one of the things that I see almost as a pandemic or a disease in the world, in humanity right now, is everybody is always trying to connect to everybody. Oh, connection here. Everybody talk about connection. Ugh. Wash your hands, take a shower, stop with all the dysfunctional connecting. We connect in unhealthy, dysfunctional ways. We connect in codependency. We connect in ways that are really unhealthy. We trauma bond constantly. We connect to others. We seek that out because we do not have a connection to our own power within, which means a connection to our higher soul, which means the connection directly to divinity, the universe, to source. We lack that connection. We seek it out in everyone else, in partners, in dating. Oh, do we jump to our addictions when we lack connection with our divine selves? Because we resort to, you know, the porn that we're addicted to, or the drugs that we're addicted to, or the food, or scrolling through the devices. It doesn't matter how it shows up in anybody's life. We seek out unhealthy connections, and then we wonder what the hell's going wrong with our connections with everybody, because we lack the connection directly to divinity itself. We keep looking for it like it's out there, instead of learning to go within and connecting from within, from in here.
People are empty and they're lost, right? What would you say the first step is in connecting within?
To take responsibility, the way of responsibility, that you need to stop connecting out there and start connecting inside of here. It's learning what it means. The process that we teach at Masters of Self University is precise. We teach it for a very precise reason, to allow people to learn what it means on an energetic level, to breathe, to drop into their heart center and connect to the deepest aspect of them, the most divine aspect of themselves. And then you have to grow that muscle. When you are truly connected, there's your divine guidance. There's your intuition. There is the love that you seek outside of yourself. There's the nurturing you seek outside of yourself. There's the validation that everybody's like, please validate me. Like, love. Oh, tell everybody I'm so amazing. Please, I'm an influencer. Oh, I want the love and support from everybody out there, and I don't give it to myself. How do you ask for something from other people that you're not willing to give to yourself?
Well, because people don't even know it. So one of the things that I think is so interesting when working with you is that you have, after you do a lesson or a therapeutic session with you, you have a way, and you say, you put your hand on your, I was trying for the mic, hand on your heart and then hand on your stomach. And here I would say, I am the way of connection. I am the way of connection. I am the way of connection. You say it 3 times, and immediately, even when I did that right there, I could feel the way of connection. So by saying the ways, whatever one you choose, or the workbook, or you and read the book, and you decide to practice, and you say it 3 times. 1, why is it 3 times? And 2, I'm pretty blown away that I feel it immediately when I do it.
You can feel it immediately. First, I have to say this, because this is me being the way of responsibility, is if people are looking for, oh, I just say away 3 times and then my life changed. Nope. Nope. I'm going to make that clear. Nope. You're learning through a process how to integrate these ways on an energetic level so you actually become energetically the ways themselves. So I need to make that very clear. And part of that process is learning to awaken to the programs and the unhealed stuff that you're carrying within. So this is not about like stating an affirmation. I tell people they can go take their affirmations and fuck off with them. I tell them all the time, you want to know why affirmations don't? But affirmations work. No, they don't. You want to know why they work sometimes is because you don't have a block for that particular thing that you're affirming. But if you have blocks and you have programs and you have unhealed wounds that go against what you say out loud, it'll never work. Never. It will never work. Those are the deeper teachings that we need to have in the world, where I affirm this, but it isn't happening. It's been 6 years. You got to go into your shadow self and actually heal. Your programming will never allow this thing over here that you want to come into your life. And I mean never, unless this is alchemized. This is you. This is the energy that is creating your life experiences. I don't care how bad you want that thing over there. I mean, never will it happen. So you go here to the shadow self, you learn to see what is in there, and you take responsibility for it. You connect to your divinity to grow the power that you are in order to alchemize this. That takes energy work. You have to learn to work with energy. After you do all of that, you are open, you are cleared out, you are spaciousness, you are divine spaciousness. And when you become that, now you can start to use the ways. I am the way of connection, and you can direct that way, and you can use it in your life and on your behalf in a powerful way with integrity, not, I'm going to use this and say it 3 times and then it'll get me what I want. It won't work.
Well, and what's so beautiful is that you've not only written a book, you've got Masters of Self University.
Yes.
So if someone wants to learn, there are affordable ways,
Yes.
because you've got teachers that you've trained.
Yes.
It's a little different than learning from you, because you only have so much time in the day, and I was lucky to get you. But most people you have enough teachers out there that if they want to access doing the workbook and access healing the shadow self, they can. And you just see immediate results. Okay, what's the next ways we should talk about?
So I think the next way, maybe we talk about the way of honoring.
Okay.
I think we talk about the way of honoring. I think the way of honoring, because we have to learn, and I've mentioned this already, when we move through the ways and we are becoming the ways, one of the biggest mistakes that we make, or the biggest thing that we lack, I should say, is we have been very conditioned to not honor our emotions, our pain. We've learned to cope, we've learned to suppress, we've learned to avoid or ignore, or just think positively and it'll go away. It never goes away. Energy never dies. Never goes away. It's always there, whether you know it or not. It's in there. And then you wonder why you're struggling in a certain area of your life. Why can't I get this thing? Well, you have energetic stuff in there that's blocking you from getting that thing because you haven't learned what it really means in an enlightened definition to honor your pain. Honoring your pain is, when you honor your pain, you're validating it. You're acknowledging it. You're seeing it. You're listening. You're hearing it. Isn't that funny? Wait, hold on. Aren't I talking about what most people say in therapy that they want to say to their partners? And hear me, see me, validate me. Uh-oh. We have to learn the way of honoring. Instead of looking for it out there, wanting other people to give that to you, you don't even do it for yourself. That's most people. I want you to listen. I just want you to listen. You're not listening to the wounded inner child, that 6-year-old who is in powerlessness and fear. You just ignore it and go hit the gym. You ignore it and get on social media.
You become the martyr.
Or you become the martyr.
Where you're helping so many people, but you're not helping yourself.
You're not helping yourself.
Right.
And so the way of honoring is, because this leads us, this is an enlightened definition. We say, oh, I feel not heard, not seen. I don't feel validated. Great, it's a good place to start. Stop looking out there. You close your eyes, you go within. How old am I right now? What programs am I running? I'm 6 years old. This is a 6-year-old unhealed aspect of me that wants nothing more than mommy or daddy or both to desperately validate and acknowledge they did a good job instead of criticize them. And that's trapped in there, which is why then we often dump and spew our crap onto our partners. You must do this for me to feel loved. Aw, how old do I sound? Mm-hmm. That's an unhealed child, right? So it's, you think mommy and daddy are supposed to be a certain way. They're not enlightened people, so they do a lot of screwing up, don't they? Even with the best of intentions.
Right.
And that leaves a lot of unhealed traumas in there. And so that's this work, is we go inside to see, where's my pain? What is my pain? Talk to me. I am right here with you now. Now I'm here. Now I see you. Now I'm listening. I hear you. Now I validate you. And you allow that through our process that we teach. There's a specific process to allow that to come up, mm-hmm. and to see every single thing that wants to come up, no matter how dark, no matter how ugly, no matter how much, my parents did the best they could. I don't want to say a bad thing about them. Except you're not honoring your pain. That's not the way of honoring. The way of honoring is giving that unhealed inner child a voice to say whatever they're really feel. What really did this make you feel in this scenario? How did your parents really make you feel? Get out of this crap of, but I have to make sure I acknowledge and stop it. You are not honoring that child who doesn't feel that way. A 6-year-old doesn't feel, oh, you're doing the best you can right now. They don't have the cognitive ability to feel that. They literally don't have the cognitive ability to think in that moment. At 6 years old, for example, oh, parents, you're really being unloving and terrible and critical right now, and you're yelling, you're losing control. I know you're doing the best you can. A 6-year-old doesn't have the cognitive capacity to do that.
And what you're doing is you're going back to those memories.
Yes.
That I found some horrific memories that I didn't know that were hidden back.
Yes.
That caused powerlessness. And then you had me honor these horrific things, traumas. And then all of a sudden, they were alchemized. I mean, it took a while, mm-hmm. and it's still, I'm in the process. We're always in the process. So it makes me think about the next thing, about forgiveness. This horrific thing, or a few things happened to me, right, that I found out about thanks to your process. And you say that I've never heard anybody have this approach to forgiveness. Don't forgive that person.
No.
Why?
Oh, yeah. So we've learned that forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. Forgiveness will set you free. There is a degree of truth in that, but this is where I want to clarify it. People get really stuck. I have to forgive, I have to forgive. I know I'm ruining myself and I'm damaging myself if I don't forgive. Some people have that awareness. However, you take all of your attention off of that person. The reason why you can't forgive them for how badly they hurt you, forgive them for the horrible thing they may have done, is because you haven't spent time in honoring your pain. You wonder why you learned the way of honoring first before you ever get to the way of forgiveness. You have to master the way of honoring. When you honor your pain, the reason why we cannot forgive, we haven't processed and alchemized our pain. That is the only reason. So if you hold unforgiveness towards a person, all that means is there's something trapped in there. It's still unhealed. You did not spend enough time honoring it. And that means we got to get out of this black and white immature definition of healings are instantaneous. Careful. That is like a kindergarten definition of what healing is. That's not black and white truth. It just isn't. They can be, different types of healings can be instantaneous. But it is not a black and white truth to say all healing is all instantaneous for, no. The reason is you went through a period of time where you had this pain, this trauma happen to you. The pain itself needs time to be honored. We don't arrogantly
because it's stored in your cells.
It is stored in your cells.
Epigenetics, right? Bruce Lipton, it's there.
It is there.
And it takes a while for the cells to basically process.
What is
the mind and heart, but the cells
But
change.
the cells themselves.
That's why you feel the depression. Like
yes.
2 weeks ago, I felt real depression when you honored, you actually were the one that honored and made me honor how I didn't feel loved.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I felt the depression coming through my body and everything.
That is the process. It needs to then, you're seeing me. Oh my God, your entire life. And here you are in this moment, seeing me, hearing me,
But it took days to get through the depression.
Yeah.
Like I had moments where I was really happy, but overall I was feeling real depression.
Yes.
Because it was literally alchemizing out of my body.
Yes.
And I was honoring myself. The forgiveness is so important, but it's not the definition that we're used to.
Right. It's when I go in and I get rid of, you see why the way of forgiveness is a much later way of oneness. Mm-hmm. And we go through the way of patience, the way of surrender, the way of trust, the way of connection, the way of compassion, the way of harmlessness and gentleness. We go through all those ways first and we build up to the ability, the way of honoring, to go into our pain and really love it for as long as it needs us to be that powerful in love and not wish it to go away. So with your example, I was in depression for a few days. Beautiful. So that means that for a few days, I get to love myself so powerfully. I get to give myself the love that I didn't get when I went through that traumatic experience. That is a chance to love myself. That's a warrior's journey. No matter how badly this hurts emotionally, I am going to give it love. I am not going to dismiss it and tell the pain, the depression to go away. That is not love. That is not love. We don't get to dictate how long I'm going to feel this now. That's like saying to a child, are you done crying yet? How unloving is that? Oh, you need to cry? Cry. Let it out. We can cry. We can cry together. Oh, so you want to cry? Oh, you want to cry by yourself? Cry. We need to learn to honor our pain. And when we really master what that actually means at an energetic level, suddenly everything is alchemized. There's nothing left to forgive. You are 100% detached from what that person did, no matter how horrible it was. There is nothing left to forgive at that point.
I'm trying to take a deep breath. It's just unbelievable, your perspective on forgiveness. It's nothing that I've ever heard, and I'm trying to apply it in my life every day. What would be the next way that you would like to suggest?
I think the way of trust. We can touch on the way of trust, because we often live our lives, our relationships, thinking this person betrayed me, this person cheated, and all the terrible things that people do. And I want to touch on the way of trust, because trust is never about, divine definition of trust is never about trusting other people. It's not about that. It's not about being able to trust your partner. Your partner will show you if he or she is trustworthy or not. It's not about, I have to trust or I can't trust. It's, do I trust myself? And what does that mean? You can show up in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, in a friendship, in a business deal. You can show up with a lack of integrity. You can show up with untrustworthiness. You can show up lying and cheating, okay? And if you choose to do that, I have no control over you doing that. I can't control whether you're going to choose to be a shitty person or not. I can't have any control over whether you're going to choose to lie and sneak around and cheat or do whatever you're doing or steal from me. I don't have control over that. What I do have control over is trusting myself to move through it. If you choose to be a shitty person, I can still choose to be a divine person and shift powerfully into the love for myself and nurture the pain that you have caused by making your shitty choices. The way of responsibility, the way of surrender, the way of trust is I trust in myself to nurture me, heal me, do what it takes to get myself through this painful, challenging situation because I trust my own divinity. That's the way of trust.
And then once you alchemize the trust you have, you will, I hate using that word attract, but you will have people that have more integrity and more honor and more trust. So you don't have to be in constant issues of not trusting them.
Right, not in constant issues because you've healed it within yourself.
Right, you're not vibrating it.
You're not vibrating it, but you will still be tested.
Wow.
You will still be tested. Are you really the way of trust now? Well, let's see. We're going to give you a life situation where somebody's going to do something pretty shitty to you. And how are you going to react to that? Are you going to love and nurture yourself and alchemize that pain so it doesn't turn into an unhealed wound or trauma? Or are you going to fall back on your old patterns and say, oh, life is so unfair, and throw my tantrum because the universe is so unfair. I'm more elevated. Why am I attracting this? You're being tested to see how divine you actually are. In your enlightenment or your divinity or your power, your self-empowerment, doesn't mean something shitty isn't still going to happen to you at some point. It means when it does, do I show up empowered or do I show up as a little brat thinking I'm too entitled to have anything bad happen to me ever again? That's the way of trust. I trust me in those scenarios. I trust me 100%. I will get through this because of how powerful I am. Whether you're all weak or powerful with me or not, I got me.
So only because we don't have enough time to go through all 20, what would be the final ways you would end the interview with?
I would just mention the way of harmony. It is the 20th way, and the only way to achieve harmony and really activate the new golden age of harmony is to become the ways yourself. If we want to change what we see in the world, all the horrific things that are out there, we cannot do that coming from a place where we lack the ways of oneness within each and every one of us. We have to become a spiritual warrior, do the work on ourselves to become every damn one of these ways so that we can truly live in oneness, first with me, the universe, all the beings on the planet, and then you activate the light and the power of your divinity so incredibly and magnificently that it radiates out into the world and there's a ripple effect. That is how we create harmony with each other, with everything on this planet, with nature, with animals. We become the way of harmony. And the only way to achieve that is to achieve those first 19 ways. Then you become the 20th way, fully in oneness, the way of harmony.
What is your vision for the future?
My vision is that we can all step up in humanity, heal ourselves, and ripple effect out to heal this entire planet and activate and choose to live in, to actively create the new golden age of harmony. I really do believe that we can live in peace and harmony with one another. And I also know with 100% certainty, the way of wisdom, that we will never achieve it if we don't first take the responsibility to heal ourselves and become that as an individual. If we do that as an individual, I really do believe that we can create a new golden age, and that means everybody living in harmony and honoring one another with equality, with unconditional love, with trust, with compassion. And then we can live a life where we get to experience what it means to be human while we are also in harmony with one another. I really believe we can achieve that.
Thank you, Rachel. This has been an amazing interview. I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you so much, Marcia. I appreciate it as well.
Wow.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie. I'm from New York. I'm a mystical life coach at Master Self University, and we are so grateful that all of you are here to enjoy the Power Within Rachel Fiori special. And I am honored to introduce CEO of Master Self University, spiritual leader, and the #1 international best-selling author of The Mason's Way, 20 Universal Ways of Oneness. Please give it up for Rachel Fiori, everybody.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for sharing this space with me. We are going to talk about the power within, and that means the power you have within yourselves that we are often very disconnected from. Whether you know about it or not, or know what it means or not, we have a power inside of ourselves to help guide us through life, to guide us through pain, through trauma, through challenges that life likes to throw at us. And we're going to talk about how to connect with that power today. And in order to understand what that power is, where to find it, and how to harness it, we must understand what oneness is. That is a word that maybe you've heard thrown around, maybe you've heard people use sometimes, but the ways of oneness will help to get us to a place of power. That means enlightened power. That means an elevated sense of self. How can I end my suffering and evolve into a human being that no matter what life throws at me, it doesn't tear me down? This challenge, this trauma can actually lift me up to become more powerful and not only help heal myself, elevate myself, but do that very same thing for others. And it doesn't matter if you are a car mechanic, you don't have to be a healer or a coach. You could drive trucks for a living. You could work in marketing for a living. You could be a janitor. You could be a musician. It has nothing to do with what your career is. Don't be fooled by a false sense of power. That's force. We're here to learn how to tap into the divine power that every human being on this planet has access to. So let's learn about the ways of oneness in order to achieve the most magnificent version of ourselves that we can achieve, and learn how to harness this universal ways of oneness, the divinity that we have inside of ourselves, in order to help change not just ourselves, because when we change ourselves, it helps change the entire planet, all of humanity and everything on it. You have that power within yourselves. Everyone has it. You have the power to help change this world. And it's not about what you do to change this world. It's about who and what you become. That's what we want to harness. Having said that, where do we start? A lot of people have had a lot of challenges. A lot of people have had a lot of traumas in their lives. A lot of people have had a lot of things happen to them where those energies, those traumas are unhealed and they are trapped inside. Let me make this very clear before I move on. I want to make this clear. You do not have to become some stereotypical spiritual person who dances around a fire half naked chanting Om. You don't have to do that. That has nothing to do with anything. And there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. You don't have to dress all in white and walk around bowing to everybody saying Namaste. Om, Namaste, yes. Brother, sister, oh, brother, sister, I love you. Oh, brother, sister. You don't have to do that. And if you do that, that's cool. You can do that if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't judge or shame or blame or point fingers. We don't make anything else inferior to us. Those programs need to end. What we do instead is find the journey, the path for me, myself, and I that is unique to every human being. Nobody's path is wrong. It is unique to you. In our sameness, we are uniquely different. What the fuck is she talking about? What does that mean? And in our differences, we are the same. You just said the opposite. What the fuck is she talking about? It means we learn oneness. We all come from the same thing. We are formless, divine energies. We are formless beings, the same light, the same source energy, the same source consciousness. We are the same. That's oneness. And that aspect of oneness, of source energy, of universal energy, takes a piece of itself and says, oh, I'm going to incarnate as a human, as a tree, as a dog, as a leaf, as soil, as a mountain, as a deer, as a lion, as an insect. I'm going to incarnate and I'm going to have a life experience, an experience of beingness in tangible manifested form. I'm going to do that in order to express my divinity in this very specific, unique way. You call that way, what's your first name? That's how divinity expresses itself. For me in this lifetime, it's through Rachel. We are the same in oneness, expressing ourselves as unique differences, unique manifested variances of divinity itself. You learn that, you're good. Rest of your life, smooth sailing. You grasp that, there's no more suffering. Why? Well, I realize I'm divinity. I realize I'm the power of source itself. Stop thinking divinity is outside of you. Sorry, religions, but I'm going to shit on you a little bit. Going to take old dump on you. Because divinity is not outside of you, it is you. It is you. So why then, Rachel, since you think you're so smart, why do we have all this drama and trauma and violence and wars and men raping women and children? Why do we have this? Why do we have fighting? Why do we have racism? Why do we have sexism? Why? First of all, stop fucking blaming God and start taking goddamn responsibility for ourselves. We have free will choice to be whoever, whatever we want to be in a lifetime. Who do you choose to be? Isn't that the question? That's where we got to start. And that is the first way of oneness, which is the way of responsibility. That I take responsibility for me, myself, and I, how I feel, how I react. The traumas. You may have been victimized, but are you trapped in victim consciousness? Those are two different things. People get victimized. Look around the world. They get victimized. We have victimizers. We have horrible people doing horrible things all over the place. Pick a place on any continent, and you will find murder and rape and abuse. It's everywhere. You may have been victimized, but you don't have to be a victim because of that experience. What you can become despite that experience is a powerful being who knows how to heal myself, how to connect to my internal power, the power that I have within, and I can grow my light, I can connect to my divinity, and I can dissolve, I can heal, I can uplift, I can rise above that life experience that happened to me. What gift did I gain from it is the question. How do you gain a gift from that horrible, terrible thing that happened? There is no gift there. Aw, if you stay in victim consciousness, you're right, there is no gift there. Sorry that you want to stay so small. I'm sorry that you don't see your divinity the way I can see your divinity. Awakening is seeing the divinity that you have inside, and let me make something else very clear. This is not about positive vibes only. It's positive vibes only. I might just be positive. Let's be just super positive. Nothing bad happens. I don't want to hear you say anything negative. Oh, you're so emotionally immature. That must suck because that causes so much fucking suffering. When we can't handle anything that's thrown at us, oh, I don't want to hear it. That's negative. I don't want to hear it. No, This is what we've learned how to be. Little tantrum babies that can't handle anything. Our partner comes home and is like, oh my God, my day. And you're like, oh, not positive vibes only, honey. Oh, don't you lack supportiveness? You lack power. That's not the power within. Where's your power? Just be blissful. That's not reality. Wake the fuck up. Where I always go to in my examples, because some of you who know me know I like extreme examples to get my point across. Someone's gonna die. You telling me if your family all went on a plane to go somewhere and you couldn't catch that same plane, you had to go later and that plane crashed and everybody died? Any of you spewing out this positive vibes only bullshit, I'm gonna come knock on your door and people die in your life and be like, positive vibes! Are you happy today? Let's talk about sunshine and rainbows and unicorns spitting the rainbows out of their assholes. Positive vibes only, everybody. Don't be sad. Don't show real human emotion. Give me a break. How immature are we? It is time to grow up. Shit happens in life. Traumatic things happen in life. Awful things happen in life. People will treat you horribly, and that's putting it mildly. You will have these things happen in your lives, period, end. Welcome to being human. You are a divine soul having a human experience. You are not one or the other. People who only see themselves as human will never heal, because they can't embrace the divine beings that they are, which means they can't embrace their power to fully heal themselves. Those are the people that suffer forever. The people who begin to awaken and step onto this path, they will often, oh, I learned this thing called spiritual bypassing, and I can just be positive all the time, and life will be roses. And I just have to learn how to really master the law of attraction, and then everything in my life will be fine-dandy and roses and so blissful, and I can live the rest of my life attracting anything I want. Oh, for the love of fucking Christ, are you gonna be trapped a lot longer than the people there in suffering who don't even know they have a divine self? You're literally roundabout way ignoring and never connecting to your divine self when you do that. You're not connecting to your divinity when you do that. Divinity is, oh my God, something really terrible happened today. That sucks balls. And you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to start with the ways of oneness. I'm going to take the way of responsibility and I'm going to become that. That means I'm responsible for nurturing and loving my pain because this shitty thing happened, not avoiding pretending like everything's happy all the damn time. Grow up. Become powerful, because that's not power. That's not divine power. That's powerlessness when I can't handle anything that happens to me in life. That's powerlessness. And it doesn't mean people out there aren't awful, because some of them are. Look around. It doesn't mean that people don't treat you terribly sometimes. What it means is, if and when you do, I learn how to connect to my divine power, and I love and I nurture myself. The way of connection is connecting to my divinity inside. That accesses my power within. It allows it to flow through me. And if I need to give myself the way of unconditional love, I'm powerful enough to do it. Stop looking outside of yourselves for validation, for love, for comfort, for support. You are in neediness, codependency, and you are 100% in powerlessness when you do that. Stop thinking like all the fucking likes you get on goddamn social media means something. It doesn't mean shit. You know what means something? How you show up every goddamn day of your life, whether anybody's looking or not. Who are you when you wake up in the morning, and who are you when you go to bed at night? That is the question you ask yourself. And some of you are going to hear this and say, but when I really look at myself, there's some really ugly, fucked up shit in there. You don't know the shit I was addicted to. You don't know the horrible things I did in the past. And I'm trying to bypass all that shit that was a long time ago. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to admit I did it. I don't want to look at it. And what I say to you is, so you still want to be in powerlessness the rest of your life? There's not a human being on this planet who's perfect. We have all fucked up. Welcome to being human. We have all made very unloving choices. And every single time we are not one of these ways, what we are instead is harmful to whatever degree. Varying degrees. Ooh, but that's another escapism program we like to run. But I'm not like, sacrificing babies. I don't rape anybody. I don't steal. I didn't murder anyone. I'm not a murderer. That makes me a good person. Aw, I'm here to kick that shit right out of your fucking thoughts, because no, it doesn't. That's the only thing you're comparing yourself to. You think, why is the world so terrible? Because you gauge how good you are, whether you're raping or murdering people or not. That's it. That's your fucking bar. I'm gonna pick that bar up. This is why I work out. I'm gonna pick that bar up for humanity. And I'm gonna do a shoulder press, overhead press, and I'm gonna hold it up real high for you. And now you gotta do the work to get to that bar. Because it's not good enough. I'm here to tell you that's not good enough to live our lives that way. It just isn't. Our planet is dying because that's how we live our lives. But that's outside of me. I recycle. I'm not a sexist. I'm not a racist. Except that you do run inequality programs, which means because we are energetic beings, when we run programs of inequality, that energy gets spewed out into the world. Now I'm really getting a little triggered by this bitch, because you don't know me. You don't know me. I don't run inequality programs. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. How many people in here have been triggered by pain, had something horrible happen, you're a little triggered, you're a little frustrated, you're angry about something, and you do anything else under the sun but go inside of your pain? How many people have done that? Oh, this whole room has created inequality! And we like to say, but not me, not me. We need to go deeper. This is education. This is a deep spiritual education now to wake up to how we are actually showing up in this world versus how we like to think we are. Because that's true awakening. So let me connect some dots. When you are triggered and you start feeling the anxiety and you start feeling frustrated and you start feeling whatever you start feeling, the very fact that we say, oh, negative emotions are bad, I don't want to feel that. Let's see, all the ways of oneness, we are not, look at that number 9. Inequality, we can't even create equality, the energy of equality, the divine definition of equality inside of myself. I can't even create that inside of me because I make certain emotions bad and wrong and I don't want to feel them. I'm shitting on my emotions. I am abandoning my pain and my emotions over and over and over and over. And then I wonder why the relationships never work out. I'm creating abandonment for myself and then I'm going to see it in my reality. That's why. I abandon my own negative emotions. I abandon my own pain. I abandon my own dark side, my ugliness that I don't want anybody to know about. That is inequality, the divine definition. I'm making parts of myself inferior to other parts of myself. I am making emotions that I feel that we call negative inferior to the emotions that are positive, blissful, happiness, joy, excitement. Those are okay to have. But these over here are not okay to have. Definition of inequality. You make certain things inferior and certain things superior. And then we go and act that out in our world all the time. And we wonder why we can't cure sexism and racism on this fucking planet. You look at everything outside of yourself and say, I don't do that. Except that you do. You might not do it in that way. But you do it inside of here when you can't say, oh, I'm triggered, I'm in pain, I'm really frustrated and upset about this. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to connect the way of connection. I'm going to connect to my divine power that is within me and only within me. It is not out there anywhere. I'm going to connect to that power. I am going to grow that connection to my divinity, to my power. And I am going to alchemize this pain. That means I am going to love it so unconditionally. It has no choice as an energetic being inside of me to alchemize, to transform, to transcend into the higher vibrational frequency of the unconditional love that I am, that I'm choosing with consciousness to bring to my pain right now. Why would I do that? Because I'm a motherfucking divine being and I can. That's why. That's why.
Amen.
And I have the power of choice to do that in my pain, in my ugly, in my terrible programs that I run. I have every second of every day is the choice to change and become more powerful. Every second of every day. And you can choose it by saying the way of responsibility. You can't master the way of responsibility and realize every second of every day you have the power to heal, to elevate, to grow, to become more conscious, to become more powerful, to become a more divine you. You have that right there. There's your choice. The more responsible, divine definition. The more responsible you can come, the easier it is to develop the way of patience. Responsibility means I can take a breath because I'm now taking responsibility for me, my reactions, how I'm showing up right now, the pain that I'm in right now because you over there were an asshole. I will never tell you that there are not motherfuckers in this world because there are. What I will tell you is when people are unkind and unloving and harmful, you have a choice to heal that, to elevate beyond it. And it never means that we are justifying, diminishing, or making excuses for other people's harm that they cause. Never does it mean that. It does not mean you become a doormat. Powerful people set boundaries. They say no. That doesn't work for me. We're done here. That's power, right? But when you learn to become the ways of oneness in order to elevate yourself into oneness, you begin to understand that I have the patience to move through this. And if I gain some patience, and I now, because I have the way of responsibility, I can take a breath, which allows me to gain patience. I master the way of patience. Easily what comes next, it flows out of you, is the ability to surrender. And what is the way of surrender? It means I offer zero resistance to what is, because what is. And if I think otherwise, I'm batshit crazy. This is happening right now. It's happening. If I resist that, I'm crazy. Cuckoo. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in that moment if I resist what is. It just is. But if I surrender to that, it means I'm willing to embrace what is. It doesn't mean I have to like it. It doesn't mean necessarily that I don't take action to change what is. But to access the power within is to be in surrender. Why do I move into surrender? I stop resisting what is, like an immature little child does. And when I'm in full surrender, I can then see and shift into the way of truth. The way of truth is not my truth, my truth, my truth. I'm going to speak my truth. You know what I say to people? Take a breath. Some of you are going to get triggered. Go fuck your truth. Give a fuck about your stupid truth. My truth comes from ego, wounds, and programs. That's my truth. You want to know what you want to elevate into? Universal wisdom, universal truth. There is always a universal truth in this situation. Always. Not, it's unfair, it's unkind, meh, that's my truth. That's surface layer bullshit. Go deeper. You go deeper into, oh, this is happening, so first let's step into my power, connect to my light, grow my light, love and nurture myself through this pain. I can elevate beyond this. Now that I'm in presence, now that I'm in surrender, now that I'm connecting and I am the way of connection, I'm all of these things. I can listen to my divine guidance, my intuition, to tell me if I need to take action and exactly what that action should be. I'm now coming from power. I'm not coming from hate, resentment, anger. I'm not coming from those shadow self programs anymore. Weak people don't heal. Warriors do. Become the warrior that you're meant to become in this lifetime. Warriors take responsibility for themselves. They shift into all the ways of oneness. The more you shift into each way and you become more divine, more powerful with every way, you show up in this world as a light worker, as a light warrior, helping to change the whole planet from how fucked up it is, because it is pretty fucked up. Let's get real. But when you don't show up in the ways and you show up in your shadow self, all you're doing is contributing. You're just blind to how you are. It's time to wake up for real. Wake up means self-awareness. We become self-aware of how we are actually showing up in this world versus how we like to think we are and how we put ourselves out in social media and everybody believes we're this angel. Like you never did nothing wrong. All these people do wrong stuff, I don't. Yeah, you cause harm. Yes, you have. You're human. We've all caused harm. Are you willing to step into your strength, your warrior self, and see how you cause harm and not play the victim card? Because you cause harm too. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you're male, female. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care where you come from. You absolutely do. When you are not the ways and you are not enlightened yet, as a byproduct of you flowing through your shadow self, you cause harm to other people, period, end. Wake up to that. Now you have the power to change it. Now what are you going to do with that? You're going to heal it? You're going to change it? Understand. The more you flow with and embrace the ways, you can never become these ways if you ignore, avoid, deny the fact that you have a shadow self, an egoic self that causes harm on this planet. You ignore that, you ain't becoming the fucking ways. And it's not about, I just say my positive affirmations and I'll just go to 9,000 healers and they'll do it for me. Aw, you're so powerless. Isn't that cute? You're not going to heal fully. You'll only go through temporary healing, or you'll only heal surface layer stuff. You didn't heal the core wounds because you weren't willing to go into them. Weak people don't heal. Warriors do. Become a warrior. Go into your fear. Go into your powerlessness. Be willing to see it's there. Go into your shame. Be willing to see that you have shame and embarrassment about things. And go inside of those energies and connect to the powerful being that you are. And alchemize that. You just have to be willing to learn how. You just have to be willing to learn how. And don't you think it's going to happen in 5 minutes. The fuck out of here. The way of patience. The way of patience. You think everything's going to be instantaneously healed. You're taking no responsibility for yourself. It's a process. It is a process that you have to be willing to move through. And it isn't all love and light. It's bringing the light that you are into the darkness and alchemizing the darkness because you're powerful enough to do that. You learn how to do that, you're becoming a warrior. No more running away. You are powerful enough to do it. You are powerful enough to handle whatever comes. You are powerful enough to see your pain, see the traumas you caused, or that were caused by someone else and happened to you. You are powerful enough to alchemize all of it, but you have to be willing. You have to be willing. Most people live with fear. They're afraid of their own goddamn power. That's the truth. You're afraid of how powerful you are. No, not me. Yes, you. Yes, you are afraid of your own power. You know why? If you weren't afraid of your power, you wouldn't be afraid of your pain. So many people resist going inside of their pain and healing the real shit. That means you're afraid to become powerful. You want to walk around here on earth like a brainwashed little robot, running around with weakness and powerlessness programs, blaming everybody else outside of you why you have it so wrong or so bad or so hard. Guess what? The harder you have it, I am now, sorry, I'm going to give my apologies to all, especially the white men in the room. I'm now speaking to the women and anybody who has a skin color that is not white. You have it a lot harder than most. Good. That means you have the most power to access in this lifetime. Better start using it. Better start using it. You have the most power to access because you have it harder. So stop blaming, stop going into victimhood and say, oh, you're making it 100 times harder for me because I'm a woman or because I'm a person of color. Ha ha ha. Fucking joke's on you, motherfucker, because I know I got the power in here. You, the harder you make it on me, the more powerful I become. I dare you to make it harder on me. And I can watch you wither away and die as I rise to the top. It'll only make me more powerful. Learn the truth and what you can become and choose to become it. Choose to become it. This is your guide. These ways are your guide to become the most powerful being that you can become in this lifetime. You want to make real change in the world, you've got to make real change inside of yourselves. You can't fake it to the universe. You can wear a mask to other people and trick them. You can't fake it to source. The universe isn't fooled by you. You can't fake becoming the ways. You have to embrace them, integrate them, and heal all that darkness in there that you're so ashamed of. That's power. That is power. Now, who has questions?
I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim.
My question is, at such a young age, men are taught to disconnect from their power. And women are it's more inviting for them to. Yeah. And so I've noticed a lot of men are seeking it when they're older, 40s, 50s plus, and they're losing out on half their lives. Yep. Because they're acting at a place of suffering, pain. They don't realize it. Mm-hmm. And is there a connection to allowing these men that are 20s, in their teens, to seek this vulnerable side of themselves, the side that they've been hiding for so long? Is it going to be a collective consciousness that brings these men to do this, or can they seek it without feeling the pain and suffering before they have to be at that age?
Yeah, beautiful question, beautiful question. And thank you for such a magical question, because part of the reason why we see what we see in the world is men have been taught to be powerless. Completely disconnect from their emotions, completely disconnect and suppress all of that, which means if you're suppressing your emotions, you're suppressing your divinity. And that's power. Because something happens in life and you get triggered and it's painful, instead of pushing it down, which is only going to wreak havoc later, it's going to come out negatively in your relationships, your romantic relationships, the way you raise your children. It's going to come out in addictions and whatever, right? So 2 things. The first is, the more that we as individuals realize all of this and not make anybody on the planet wrong or bad, we just see them for what they are in their unconsciousness. I can choose as an individual to grow my power no matter what. I can reconnect, I can heal my pain and trauma. It is a choice. So twofold answer means, as long as you're doing it as individuals, you will help spread this to everybody else on the planet. There will be a ripple effect. The more we can heal in our 40s, 50s, or older, for those men who have had all of this stuff happen to them and they're not healed yet. They're still broken. They're still running powerlessness programs, right? The more that they start to heal in their older ages, what they'll then be able to do is start to reparent. They become better parents. The younger generations have been parented better now in a healthier, more powerful way. We can stop all of this generational trauma with this, with men and with everybody, in 1 to 2 generations. We absolutely can. When people choose to become more highly conscious, it spreads. Everyone around you is affected, period. Everyone around you is affected. That's how it spreads. We want this to spread like a plague, but it's a plague of oneness, which means everybody gets to heal, right? So you can't control how other people heal, how quickly they heal. You can control how quickly you elevate and you heal. You can't control how powerful you become, and every single person that you touch from there after that will always be touched by your light, no longer from your wounding. You see it? That's what we want to do. You want to make sure you touch people with your light, not your wounding. You do that, everything will spread. The love, the light, everything will spread. The power people have within themselves will get activated inside of them because you've activated your power inside of you. That's how it spreads. That's how it spreads.
Yes, hello Rachel, my name is Angela, and my question is, how do you find your soulmate?
Ooh, good one. Yeah. Hi, Angela, thank you for the question. Your soulmate is inside, you become the soulmate for yourself. That's how you find your soulmate. You become the soulmate that you're seeking. When we want that love, that companionship outside of ourselves, it means we're missing something, we're lacking in something, and almost always we're lacking in self-love. We don't know how to nurture ourselves with power. We don't know how to love ourselves unconditionally. And we think someone out there is going to make us happy. And they won't. You know why? They're going to trigger the fuck out of you. It might be blissful for a few months. It's all fake, it's all crap. Because then all your shit's gonna get triggered. And you'll be like, oh no, I thought it was my soulmate. It's the wrong one. Oh no, I actually got married. Oh, this is a motherfucker. Now I gotta go through a divorce. Oh my God, you know how much money that's gonna cost me? Son of a bitch, I'm pregnant. Oh, could it get any worse? Yeah, it can. It actually can get a lot worse. That's the easy answer. It can get worse. It can get worse because relationships are not here to make you happy. They're here to make you conscious. And when you realize that somebody's going to come to you with their programs and their pain and their wounding, are you going to point the fingers, blame them, judge them, make them horrible, even when they show up horribly? Or are you going to connect to your power and realize, oh, you're showing up as a fucking shit face right now. Oh, this is very unpleasant. I can use this to elevate me, though. I can heal myself through this. I can become more powerful so your shit-face moments don't affect me so much. And let me make something clear, because I'm going to take another dump on what's taught out there. Totally going to shit on this. We are learning no one can make you feel anything. No one can make you feel, how many people have heard this? No one can make you feel anything. It's not my responsibility if you're triggered. Well, be careful. This is not a black and white teaching. Hold on. Because that's just my excuse to go be a fucking asshole to everybody and not take any responsibility for it. Who's the motherfucker now? Uh-oh, who's the motherfucker now? So, when we want a soulmate, you become the soulmate for you. You realize that although your programs and your wounding, that's not my responsibility. I don't take that on. If you're triggered and you're acting out your shit and you're trying to project that onto me, aw, you're the one suffering, not me. I don't take that on. That's not my responsibility. What is my responsibility is that I don't show up in hurtful, harmful ways and claim that because I show up in a hurtful, harmful way, you don't have any right to get upset because your emotions are not. That's not my responsibility. Who is the motherfucker now? Do you see it? You see how there's two parts to that? Stop wishing for a soulmate. Oh, I know I said it. Ah, I said it. Stop wishing for a soulmate, because what you're going to get is a truck hitting you to show you everything that needs to be healed. You don't want the truck, because after the truck comes, the plane crash is coming next. It's going to go on top of the truck that just hit you. The plane is coming, and it's barreling down. It's going to crash right on top of that. So here's the deal. If you don't have your soulmate yet, woohoo! Give me one of those. You know why? You have more time to step into your power so that you can actually receive that level of love. You don't love yourself, guess what happens when your soulmate shows up? You won't receive the love that he or she has for you because you can't. You're not capable yet. You're too wounded. You won't receive that kindness, that love, that unconditional love. You'll, in your delusional mind, egoic mind, you'll think they're being manipulative instead of loving. Why? You don't know how to receive love. You can't even see what it is. You don't know what love smells like. You don't know what color it is. Somebody can show up and be all loving, and you're like, oh my God, you're manipulating me. Who's manipulating you? Because you don't even know what love is yet. Love is a way of being. It is not a feeling. It's a way of being. So when I learn to become the beingness of love for myself, that allows me in unconditional love to open myself up to receive love from other people. We often block it or we sabotage it. So heal, elevate, become powerful, rinse and repeat. Then your soulmate will come in and you won't fuck it up. That's how you attract your soulmate.
So what is happening right now is that I am facing mortality. I just recently got diagnosed with cancer, stage 3, and it's got, went into my lymph nodes. This is something I've never, didn't think this would ever happen again. So, I want to know how to tap into my divine self, because I know, I could have done this with, my diet, eating clean, working out. I've done that, the physical thing. I know how to do that.
Yes.
I don't know my mental health. I need to know how to tap into my mental health. I've done it before, but this is different. Mm-hmm. I don't want him to be alone. That's my thing. My first thing I found out, I don't want him to be alone. And my family and all this. So how do I tap in? Because I know the mental, if you lose your mental, you will lose your physical. You will die. Mm-hmm. So please give us tips. Give me 10. If not, if it's a short, give me 3 so I can do that on how to tap into the divine warrior self. 1, 2, this may be watching one of your YouTube episodes. As soon as she gave me your name, trapped trauma. Maybe we didn't have a baby, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. My dog dies immediately after we didn't have a heartbeat during a pregnancy. Aww. And then my mom recently died, and I know that's all life just, you need to keep going, you need to be strong, you need to go. So that's possibility because all of this cancer is happening here. So this could be all that stuff you're talking about, energy fields and mental, emotional, ethereal, and the physical. So please let me know how I can heal. Any tips and suggestions on how to build mental strength and tap into your divine warrior self. Thank you. That was really long.
No, thank you for opening up like that, because the people that are watching need to hear that.
Yeah.
This was a really powerful question, and I really appreciate you being vulnerable. So, Rachel?
Yeah, thank you for your question. Are you willing to move to start some healing and some shifts right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to ask, let me listen to my guidance. Let me listen to my guidance, because I'm being asked for you to come forward. And I think we're going to do some work up here in the front.
So I actually about 3 weeks and 4 days ago, because of this cancer, they actually got a hysterectomy. So I've just gotten.
That's what I feel. That's what I feel missing. The missing. Okay. All right. You got markers? Okay. So I'm just going to feel into your energy fields first, and we're gonna call on the ways of oneness to help. But we need to do a little bit of work. The fear. So the fear, right now, it's a fear of dying. Yeah. I am going to ask you to go into your heart and ask what you're so afraid of, what the fear that is trapped. I want you to start to tune into that. And at first, it's okay if the fear of dying comes up first, but we need to go deeper than that. The fear of dying is actually surface level. We need to go into the fear that was trapped in there to begin with. Where was your first loss, childhood? 6, 7, when did you have a loss? Ask your heart. It might not be some big major thing, so ask your heart. What loss did I have as a child? That's where it started.
I don't know. My family is so wonderful. I have 3 sisters.
Stayed together. Parents stayed together.
Well, later they divorced 31 years later. So
31 years later.
Later they divorced. I feel like lost. Like I've.
Did you have family that moved away? Did somebody move away? Was it anything like that? Because there's a loss. No. Did you have a sister? Do you have an older sister? An older sister who started to have friends and you weren't quite as close? There's some shift in you that experienced a loss. It's not a big major trauma, and this is where the stuff gets trapped and it gets tricky. It's a normal everyday thing that you experienced, but it created a fear of saying goodbye. It means somebody could leave. How much older are your sisters? Tell me your siblings.
There's Zendi. You tell them or just name
them? How much older are they? Tell me.
Zendi is probably about less than 2 years. Then my sister Eden is 10 months younger than me. Then Geraldine's about 5 years.
It's your older sister. It has to do with your older sister. Mm-hmm. Did she go away to college? Did she move away? Did she?
Well, she went away to college, but I followed her.
How soon?
Well, a year later. So,
a year later.
But we're very, yeah.
Yeah. It was a year later. Mm-hmm. I have a normal shift. This is where the fear started. It was a fear of loss. You experienced a type of loss. Mm-hmm. And this is where we often want to go find some massive trauma. I don't get any of that for you for this at all. I get you experienced a fear of loss. That was very painful. Put fear of loss for me. That painful experience, well, now I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to go close. I'm going to move close to her. So instead of processing the saying goodbye, that you're leaving, you're far away now, I can't see you all the time, there was this fear of, oh my God, somebody can leave me. Somebody can go away. But what happened, instead of processing that, you actually just said, oh, I can fix that. I can follow. Except that we can't always fix our losses. Move to relationships. Did you have a relationship before your love right now?
I think it would be boxing then. No boys ever hurt my heart except maybe boxing. Maybe.
Explain.
I won a national title during my third year university. I was first, second, and third. Second year, won a national title. Third year, my coach wanted me to go worlds, but it was like a whole diet thing. Okay, let me go back in time. I'm the same height as I was in middle school, just a little heavier, so maybe a diet thing, but I stopped boxing because I didn't do, I was focused on the more training thing, and then, but I was really into it, and I loved it, and I was in class, or the boxing, and just stayed, and
hard to say goodbye.
I had to leave because boxing's not gonna make us money,
right?
And maybe the hurt that I felt, I remember, was when my coach goes, if you quit this, because I had to leave. I was I had to go to school. I had to finish school. I wasn't doing well in school, and I needed a break. And I remember my coach said, if you quit this, you'll be a quitter the rest. Like, that hurt.
Oh.
That really hurt. I went into a little,
I felt it.
yeah. So,
That's a
That was-
trauma.
Yeah,
By the way,
right there's
for
a trauma.
someone
I felt.
put in your life. A huge one, actually.
So if I'm a quitter, if I quit this, what's going to happen? I'm going to be a quitter the rest of my life. So this is a permanent thing that's going to be labeled onto you if you quit. And it wasn't looked as, it wasn't viewed as you making a choice that was the best choice for you at the time. Oh, you're a quitter now. So you're a quitter. So you're a quitter. You have fear of loss trapped in there. You have the label as quitter energy. I don't want to give up. I want to fight this. I don't want to give up. I want to fight this. This is the Cancer now. I don't want to give up. I want to fight this. What can I do to fight this? You have to stop fighting. You're not the boxer in this. There's no fighting. If you fight this, you're probably going to lose. Breathe.
yeah, I don't breathe sometimes.
Breathe.
Sometimes you do this.
Because
to
that
remind
could be
myself.
really scary and trigger fear. Do you feel the fear coming up in your body? Is there anything triggered in there when I say if you fight this, you're probably going to lose it? Where do you feel that in your body?
The lose word always, I don't want to lose.
I know,
Yeah,
exactly.
ego,
I
yeah.
don't want to lose, but I can learn how to surrender. Where is the fear in your body right now? Tap into your body.
Like
You
all
feel
over
it in your
here, like
chest.
I'm like,
Good job.
like
Good
holding
job. Feel this tightness, all this here. If I lose, what does that mean for me if I lose? What does that mean?
It means like my family will lose me, like miss me. My husband will miss me.
What will that mean for them?
Like sadness.
Yeah. What else? What does it mean? Let it come. Let it come. Don't push
Just,
it down.
You know, it's like my family. I know they need me. Like he needs me. You know.
Yeah.
I'm
If
loved.
I'm-
You know, I feel their
Yes.
love, and I know, you know, like when you go like in my 20s, like the boxing thing, like that did really affect me. And I went back from 106 to 160 pounds, and I remember I had those thoughts, like I would never do it, but like I've held pills or whatever, like back in my whatever when I was that young, but I would never do that because I know, like
But the pain inside of me then
wouldn't
was
be
what?
good.
Talk about the pain inside
The
of you
pain
then.
is when I would ever hold this, like because I was so like desolated, I would think of my mom, you know.
The pain inside of me.
The pain inside me is like
My
I'm
pain.
being selfish.
Selfish. So I'm selfish. So put that up. I'm selfish because,
Because I want to not live at that point, you know.
and that makes me selfish, which means you're not honoring your pain. You have learned not to honor your pain. You put everybody else first. Everybody else comes first and you come last, because that's what you've learned means love, and that means that you have to put yourself last. Everybody else comes first. The whole time, what does this mean for you? Where's the pain for you? What does this mean for you? And you talk about everybody else. That's why this is trapped in here. That's what we need to heal. We need the way of surrender, and we need the way of honoring. You have to learn how to honor your own pain. Put your hand on your heart for me.
Left hand, right hand.
It doesn't matter. Whatever feels good to you. You can put them both if you want to.
Okay.
Okay? I want you to go into the pain and let this pain come up. That I put myself last because. Go into your heart. Don't use your mind. Ask your heart. Ask the pain in here. I put myself last because.
It's the right thing to do sometimes, you know.
It's the right thing to do. What does it mean? If I define that as the right thing to do, what does that mean? It makes me what? What does that define me as?
Not selfish, you know.
Ah, so I'm afraid of being selfish. If I put myself first, it means I'm selfish. Is that true or false? Agree or disagree?
I mean, at my 40-year-old self, plus I'm forever 39. I mean,
If I put myself first, feel it in your body. If I put myself first, that means I'm selfish. Agree or disagree?
I want to be middle. Can I be a middle?
Does part of you agree with that?
Yeah, part of it agrees.
Yeah,
yes.
that's the part we're talking to, because that's what's trapped in here.
Oh, wait, heart. Yeah.
That's what's trapped.
Okay.
That if I don't put everyone else first, I'm selfish. That's one of the things that is trapped in here. So I'm selfish, fear of loss. I'm selfish. I come last, right? I come last. Here's the deal. You want to have a chance to heal this in your body, everyone else, take a step back. You're coming last. You're first. You put yourself first. This is about me. I'm going to put myself first, and I'm going to heal the programs that tell me that if I put myself first, that I'm selfish. that I'm not capable of receiving love from other people if I don't put them first, that I am somehow unlovable inside of myself. I believe something in me makes me unlovable if I put myself first versus putting myself last. That's the bridge we want to close. All right, I'm going to ask you, if you feel comfortable enough to stand here with your eyes closed, and you feel steady enough on your feet to close your eyes, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Is it okay if I put my hand on you?
Yes.
Is that
absolutely.
okay? All right. We're going to breathe in, and we're going to let all the programs, I want you to do your best to connect to your heart right now, and I'm just going to let the ways of oneness talk to me and see which one we need to activate to shift a healing and start a healing to go through your body and in your energy fields. All of those beliefs, whether you're aware of them or not, do not close to them. Don't resist what comes forward right now. You resist what you resist, you cannot heal. I am selfish if I put myself first. I am supposed to put myself last. That is what a loving woman does. That is what a loving wife does. I have learned to put everyone else first. My identity is to come last. If I come last when I deal with cancer, I am not going to survive cancer. I can't put myself last. I have to shift into the spiritual warrior that I am, and that means I have to learn to love myself enough to put myself first. Breathe. The first way of oneness that I call upon is the way of surrender. I call upon the way of surrender now. I activate the way of surrender. Inside of Edison, surrender does not mean give up. It is the exact opposite. It is flowing with what is in order to shift what is. If I have the possibility to shift or heal what is, I can only do it from a place of surrender. Feel the way of surrender as it comes into your body now. It is going up and down throughout your entire chakra column. It is moving in every direction throughout your entire body, your entire cells, all 50 plus trillion of them, and expanding outwards in every direction throughout your energy fields. Breathe. I want you to feel the way of surrender and how it feels energetically in your body. The way of surrender eliminates and dissolves every single thing that is in resistance to this. I cannot resist what I want to heal. I have to embrace what is happening with the way of surrender, the power of the surrender that I am. That is my divinity. Good job. When cancer is in our body and it is filled with trapped traumas, we have to love the traumas in order to alchemize the traumas. That means the balls of cancer, all of the cancer that is in there, we have to learn how to love it. And the first way to do that is to learn to surrender to it. Be in flow and not resist it. Feel the way of surrender inside of your body. And I'm going to ask you to repeat out loud 3 times the truth of what you are. I am the way of surrender. 3 times.
I am the way of surrender. I am the way of surrender. I am the way of surrender.
Breathe and feel what that feels like in your body. I'm going to anchor the way of surrender in. And I'm going to expand it out to infuse your energy bodies, your subtle energy bodies. And as you stay here in the way of surrender, I'm going to call the way of honoring. I now call upon the way of honoring. I anchor in and I activate the way of honoring inside of Edison. And what this means is you're going to learn to honor your pain, to honor yourself, to honor your divinity. That means I come first right now. This is about me. This is about me. This journey, this healing journey, this cancer experience is about me. I come first right now. I speak up and I speak the truth. I use my voice and I tell people no. I don't want company right now. No, I am going to cry and let my feelings out right now. And I'm going to voice my opinions, my emotions about this. I'm going to express myself, whatever is coming up and coming out of me. I will use my voice to express this, what I'm feeling. I will not suppress it. And anyone who can't handle that around me better grow the fuck up. It's time because I'm coming first right now. Breathe. The way of honoring gets anchored into your throat chakra. I'm going to touch your throat. That means I have no fear of expressing myself. I love myself enough to put myself first. How I feel comes first right now. When the fear comes, I'm going to speak of the fear. I want you to feel the way of honoring as it's going up and down your chakra column, expanding throughout every cell of your entire body, moving out of your body into your energy fields right now. The way of honoring means I honor my pain. It means I have to learn to honor this cancer and what it's here to teach me, not fight it, resist it, and try to make it go away. That is the opposite of what will heal it. The way of surrender and the way of honoring together will come inside of your body, but you have to embrace them. Every part of you that has cancer, I want you to infuse right now from your heart space the love that you are, the surrender, the way of honoring. Honor that pain. Honor that cancer. It isn't your enemy. It is here to make you fall in love with yourself and make yourself a priority. So make yourself a priority. It's challenging you to become a fully divine person. Unconditional love doesn't exclude you, my dear. It includes you. It's not always about everyone else. If you are not factored in, it's not unconditional love. Feel the truth in that. I honor myself enough to put my needs first through this. You don't have to think about any goddamn person on the planet but you right now. Feel what the way of honoring feels like throughout your body. Feel the power of it. Feel the love in there. Feel the compassion for yourself. Feel yourself as a priority. And if anybody doesn't like it, guess what? They can fuck off right now. Because I'm going to honor me. My higher soul is challenging me to honor me. Feel what this feels like in your body. And I'm going to ask you to state out loud the truth of what you are 3 times. I am the way of honoring.
I am the way of honoring. I am the way of honoring. I am the way of honoring.
Feel what that feels like in your body. As you feel ready, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. Take your time if you need to. How do you feel?
Good.
What feels different? How does this feel?
Calmer.
That's you. That's your power. Anything else? Do you feel anything else in your body? Just really pay attention to what might want to talk to you right now. Honor it. Give it a voice. Is there anything coming up for you? Anything you feel?
Just to just want to say to myself, just, calm down, calm the body down. Let your body heal yourself. Let your mind heal yourself. Be strong,
Be loving.
I think
honoring.
I love myself.
Be
I do. This is so scary.
I know. Honor your fear. That means let it come and embrace it with the love that you are. You're so loving to everybody else. The fear needs your love right now. Don't try to make it go away. That traps it.
I could tell the cancer, 1, thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
And 2, because I've missed, all this talk about spirituality and being spiritual. A friend asked me, are you spiritual? I live in LA. Of course I'm going to hear stuff, holistic stuff, chakras, meridians, all this stuff. I've never really tapped in. I'm intrigued. And maybe cancer is getting me to think of the other side. Maybe that's that whole thing of yin yang, everything's connected, your heart, all that, I don't know what it is. So that's why I'm intrigued. And I think cancer, okay, I will be stronger. I will be more powerful. I will figure out this divine spirit, what you're talking about. Like, yeah, what are you talking about? So I'm going to, maybe this is what's happening. Like, this is the positive. So, and and it's I'm stepping out. Like, my whole thing before was to not share. I would never share. I would hold everything in.
Remember, honoring is anchored into the throat chakra. I would never share. Now I can express and share instead of trap everything in.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I
I do that.
know.
A friend of mine just said, Ed, like when I didn't have that heartbeat at that baby, nobody heard from me. I come out and I stay in, focus, figure this out. I'm not facing mortality or anything. I can heal myself. I have a beautiful husband and sisters that were so close. Like, that's my circle. And I will heal with that. And then I shut everybody out. And then I come out and I'm fucking positive. I'm the most positive person. People are like, God, how are you fucking so happy all the time? And I'm like, it's a choice. It's a choice.
It's a
all
choice, but not while we suppress our pain. We don't suppress our pain and pretend happy. We let our pain come up and we honor it now.
But it's gratitude. That's why I get confused. Gratitude. We have so much. I have so much.
When you focus on that,
Yes.
instead of your pain, you are not seeing, hearing, validating your pain. That's not gratitude. It's giving your pain a voice. It's time that it needs to be heard. And because you weren't hearing it and expressing it and validating it and honoring it before, you now have a reason to do it. The cancer is allowing you.
Yeah.
You ask the cancer, what am I meant to become because of this? Who am I meant to become because of this?
That's a good one.
You become that, and it has no reason to be here. Who am I meant to become?
Yes.
Become that, and it has no reason to be here.
It's beautiful.
Okay?
Yeah. But this doesn't hurt anymore.
Yay.
Good job, good job, good job. The process that I do and what I teach other people in is that, and we saw with Edison, that you go in and you have to uncover and unravel what is trapped inside of me. What
Which
is
most
trapped
people
inside?
don't see.
They
Like,
don't
you're
see
able
it.
to see that.
Yes.
But the
and
book and MSU allows you. You have enough practitioners out there that
Yes.
they can work with you to see it.
Exactly, because the key is, look, we're going through a global transformation. Humanity is going through a global transformation. And it is time for you yourself to become empowered enough and powerful enough to learn how to heal yourself and not rely on other people outside of you. That's the whole point. Because we're transforming ourselves, all of humanity is transforming. Global, massive transformation of humanity right now. And that means we have to learn to truly step into our power. That means through the process that I do, that my certified mystical life coaches do at Masters of Self University, we guide people into, notice I didn't just say, okay, Edison, I'm gonna put my hands in, you're healed. Everybody applaud me. No, you guide the person through uncovering what is in their blind spot. You start with asking questions so they can become aware of what is actually trapped inside, because you got shit trapped inside. Everybody does. You do. We don't grow up empowered. We don't grow up with this stuff. So it's trapped. When you uncover that, you take them through the process, you ask the questions, but what about this and what about that? And you really go inside and start to feel what is trapped in here. It slowly starts to reveal itself. What was revealed with the example of Edison here? What was revealed? That the tightness in her chest, it started to come out after working with her for a little bit. What was it? I keep everything down. I stuff it all down. I don't use my voice and say, that's what's trapped in there. Of course that's going to turn into an illness, a disease, even cancer at some point. It has no choice. It has to become that. The dis-ease in the body that has been trapped in there and pushed down for so long, because it's there, it is wreaking havoc on your energetic system, and that means on your physical body as well, right? It was in our subtle energy bodies outside of us. We have subtle energy bodies. We are energy. It was here first, and it eventually goes inside and seeps down into the physical body. When we get symptoms, that is the last place it shows up. It showed up everywhere else first, but we don't grow up learning this, so we have no idea it's coming. We have no idea what is in here until it shows up in a physical illness or a disease or something very scary. And then what?
But that's the blessing.
That's the blessing.
I mean, we wouldn't wish this on anybody to
Never.
get cancer. This
Never.
is horrible. It's a horrible disease. But the blessing is that you find your divine power to
Yes.
basically heal it.
Yes.
You work with doctors, but you find the divine power to heal
You got
any
it.
dis-ease.
You can become more empowered and you can go right into those energies. The biggest mistake people make is I'm going to do my gratitude journal, I'm going to say my positive affirmations, and I'm going to stay positive. You're fucking killing yourselves by doing that. If you deny that you have pain, that trauma, that pain, whatever is suppressed, needs you to see it, validate it, acknowledge it, and love it, and that takes power. When we suppress, we are in weakness. And weakness doesn't heal. Weak people don't heal, warriors do. I want you to remember that. More importantly, I want you to remember what that actually fucking means. It means that I go in and I start to dig up what is in here trapped in my body. It needs the power of my love. It needs my attention. It needs the unconditional loving divinity that I am as a creator, as a divine creator being that is only here in manifested form for so long. I can become in human form the divine creator that I came from. I can connect to that, I can grow that power, and powerful beings don't suppress or ignore or deny. That's not self-love. That is not love. You are never loving yourselves when you do that. And our shit gets trapped in there because of it. And then it wreaks havoc. Behaviorally, in our relationships, our physical bodies become diseased because of it. And then we're left with, oh no, what the hell do I do now? You breathe and you drop in and you learn to connect to your power and you learn to love yourself, because the only chance you have at healing yourself, no matter what example you could give, the only chance you have at healing yourself is to learn what it really means to fall the fuck in love with yourself harder than anybody on this planet could ever fall in love with you. No one can love you the way you can potentially love yourself. You need to realize that, connect to that, and start loving yourself. And in self-love, you can tell everybody, I got to go within. I got to do my hard work. I got to go love my pain. You can all fuck off for a little bit. That's not unloving. It's letting you know I'm going to put myself first for now, because love does that. Love, unconditional love, the way of unconditional love knows when to put myself first. It also knows when to step back and put other people first. If you always put yourself first, you're out of balance. You're going to create illness. If you always put others first, you're out of balance. You're going to create illness. That's not unconditional love. Someone's missing out when someone else always comes first. You see it. You just need to be the way of surrender and the way of presence and the way of connection and the way of compassion and the way of harmlessness and gentleness and all the ways of oneness. That's all you ever need to be. Become the ways of oneness. Yeah. And no matter what happens on the outside, you being in oneness are 100% at peace with it, because that's what oneness is. You're not resisting it anymore. You're not separate from it. You're in oneness with it.
You're in harmony and peace.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
it.
think it's just the best way to end it. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Marcia.
Thank you for showing up today, really.
Thank you.